This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I am going to narrate first part of what if Naruto nearly became hollow after Sasuke Retrieval arc. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Dead. As Naruto gazed down at his body, that was his thought. Over it stands Sasuke. At that moment, Kakashi knocked Sasuke unconscious. I told you, dope. I needed to kill you for power. But don't worry. I'll make good use of my eyes now. The back of his neck was chopped. Kakashi leaned down to Naruto's body and said, I'm too late. I'll bring him home. Naruto. Sensei. I'm sorry. Kakashi said, carrying Sasuke and Naruto's bodies back to the village. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I know. You fought with all your heart. Kakashi arrived at the gate a few hours later. Hinata, Sakura, Ino, Tenten, Tsunade, and a few others were waiting for him. Ino and Sakura had been waiting for their true love. Sasuke is a jerk. Hinata and Tenten had been waiting. At the very least, getting along with her better than the other two fangirls. While Hinata was a fan of Naruto, she was not nearly as weak as one of his fans. Tsunade was also anticipating her younger brother. Kakashi had a broken and dejected expression on his face when he landed in front of them. As if he was unwilling to be there. Sakura exclaimed, Sasuke, Sasuke is back. Ino joined her. Like the other four girls, Tsunade hurried over to Kakashi. Take this traitor to the hospital and make sure he has 24-hour Anbu guard. Instructed Kakashi. Tsunade gave a nod. She was going to say the same thing, after all. Sasuke was taken to the hospital by an Anbu that landed next to Kakashi. Don't say that to Sasuke, Kakashi. Sensei. He's back in. Stop talking, Sakura, Kakashi shouted at the young girl with the pink hair. When Tsunade saw the bloody body Kakashi was carrying, Hinata and Tenten both started crying. No, Tsunade went to her knees and said, I apologize, Lady Tsunade. It was too late. I was unable to save him. Kakashi's lone eye began to well up with tears. Naruto's soul asked himself, why is Hinata crying? Isn't she happy that the asshole is back? You dumb kid. Not now, Fox. Yes, right now. You are the reason we are dead. You useless little meatbag. I died in you. And for what? In order to impress that monstrous person with the pink hair. She never gave a damn about you. She would have called you a monster even if you had survived for bringing back the weak, little Uchiha in his current condition. Kyuubi screamed at her holding container. Regarding Sakura, you were mistaken. Naruto defended her, saying, she would never do that. 1 week later Naruto was at his own funeral, which he found amusing. Today, we have come together to lay Konoha's greatest hero to rest. Tsunade started. Naruto Uzumaki died while serving the Great Leaf Village. Naruto was taken aback by the large number of people at his funeral. If you call 24 people a lot, then all of the Leaf 12 and Sensei were there, but Team 7 was also present, along with Kakashi, Tsunade, Shizune, the pervy sage, his favorite ramen chief, and his daughter. He was also surprised that Anko and the purple-haired Anbu who had always protected him as a child were present, as was Yugo, Konohamaru and his team. It was shocking that nearly all of the clan heads were present, with the exception of the Hyuga head, and another girl he didn't recognize. She looked like Kiba, and she was a teenage girl of about 15 years old. Even a few other shinobi were present, and everyone had genuine sadness in their eyes, but none more so than Hinata Hyuga. Sakura was right next to Sasuke the entire week he was dead, but she never once asked him about him or even who he was with. In fact, she didn't know Naruto was dead until Tsunade told her about his funeral. The final nail in the coffin was what she said to Tsunade after learning of his death. Given what that monster did to my Sasuke, why would I visit his funeral? The monster was due for its demise. She shouted and left, probably to get Sasuke more flowers. The only response Kyuubi gave to that was, I told ya so. He had cried all night, and it had hurt. He was crying at his own funeral, and he was pleased to see his friends bidding farewell one by one. At the end, Hinata went last, and it began to rain, as though the sky was also crying. Naruto. Sob, I apologize. Sob, what are you sorry for, Hinata? Not really expecting her to hear him, Naruto asked aloud. I apologize for this incident. I apologize. Sob, I never told you. Hinata, tell me what? I hope. Sob, I had informed you. I've come so far. Sob, to be in love. You? Hinata exclaimed before running away in tears. Naruto was astonished that someone as lovely and compassionate as Hinata would care for him. She cherished me. And I was unaware. You were too busy chasing rock and a flat-chest rat to notice that a beautiful diamond was following you. Kyuubi stated to him. Naruto's mind was racing. She loved me, she loved me, she loved me, and I never saw it. Kyuubi was the only one who saw the chain around his chest. The council was then seen approaching them from down the street. Stop this at once! Exclaimed the elderly man. Sasuke Uchiha and his devoted little bitch slave Sakura were with them. You darn cry over that demon brat. He almost killed Sasuke Uchiha. The last loyal Uchiha left in the world, he went on. What? How dare you interrupt this funeral? The funeral of Konoha's greatest hero Naruto Uzumaki, Tsunade screamed. Greatest hero? Huh? That title belongs to me. I killed the great Kyuubi, something that not even that weakling fourth could do. That makes me far stronger than that little weakling fourth Hokage. I should become Hokage right now. Sasuke sighed. The bitch slave exclaimed, yeah, Sasuke did what no one could do before. Kill that demon. With the council's approval. Hieshi's sole purpose for being there was to pick up his daughter. He felt compelled to act on it. Tsunade exclaimed, what? Anbu, arrest this stain on Konoha's honor right now. She was furious about the small shit stain that was ruining Naruto's and the fourth's reputations. You will not, Tsunade. He is a hero. The greatest hero. Greater than that of the fourth Hokage. He shall be rewarded. Danzo replied. Yay. So stop crying over that weakling who shouldn't have been allowed to live and train me in everything you know, Sanin. If I'm to succeed you, I need to be the strongest I can be. In fact, fire style. Dragon Blaze Jutsu. Sasuke let out a huge fire dragon. Jiraiya and Tsunade Shizune ducked. It was then that they realized who Sasuke's real target was. Naruto's body in his coffin. In a heartbeat, it was destroyed. Regarding Naruto, the timer stopped. After killing him, his best friend demolished his body. Sasuke smiled sickeningly and said, thanks for everything, Naruto. You severed your purpose. You gave me my eyes and more power. It destroyed Naruto's world. He sensed, empty within. The chain began to eat away at itself, as Kyuubi noticed. She grinned. Perhaps death won't be as horrible as we think. A bit more, please. Naruto. Become even more irate. Come on, humans, treat Naruto as badly as you can. Give him more of. In case you're wondering why, that will suffice. Just read, then. All eyes turned to the crowd behind Naruto's funeral. Only to witness Hinata sprinting towards Sasuke. Her soft fist didn't appear to be that soft, fucker. For two reasons, which shocked everyone. Hinata swore at the first. Furthermore, Sasuke is absolutely amazing. She struck Sasuke's chest with a soft fist. He was forced to crash into a tree, breaking it up into small fragments. She didn't stop there, though. She persisted in using straight dot-out punches to beat the living daylights out of him. Sasuke's screams of agony had to last for 3 minutes in order to awaken them from their daze. Hinata had to be freed from Sasuke by Guy and Kakashi of the Sannin team. They didn't want to do it, though. When Sasuke was eventually forced to release her, he was bleeding and blue. Hiashi was impressed. Sasuke Uchiha was just flattened by his oldest and weakest girl. In a second, the Rookie of the Year. Sasuke was demolished before he could blink. He grinned. Now there was no need to seal her with the curse. She had Primrose now. Naruto grinned. Thank you, Hinata. Naruto gave everything for this village, and then you stand there and dare say you're a hero. Greater than that of Lord 4th Hokage. You're weak, Sasuke Uchiha. And you always will be. Naruto will forever be stronger than you. You weak fucking piece of rat shit. A cockroach wouldn't go near you if you were the last rotting corpse on earth. Hinata kept yelling at Sasuke. Attempting to complete the task Naruto began. One of the civilians shouted at her, how dare you, Hinata Hyuga? You dare attack a clan head? One single snake cock-sucking gay that couldn't beat off his own pencil dick doesn't classify as a clan. It classifies as something that needs to be purged from this world. We have the Byakugan and many other stronger clans in the Leaf. We haven't lost any power in the world when the stain known as the Uchiha clan was cleaned from Konoha's gutters. What do you think, father? Don't you agree that the Uchiha is better off when it is, in the pages of history, never to be seen again? Hinata remained under the control of the Sannin. Jiraiya happened to notice that the girl was defending Naruto. When the Uchiha brat returned, he was fortunate to have left the village. If not, he would be somewhere in a hole. Hiyashi didn't like being the center of attention, though, because his little girl did. He was pleased with her. He thought it was a great way to start the day to put the pampered Uchiha in his place. Danzo merely grinned. I think that Lady Hinata brings up a good point. Sasuke needs to rebuild his clan. And thank you for volunteering for this, Lady Hinata. To bring back such a power clan back into this world. After a lot of shouting on both sides, to settle it, the Fire Lord appeared. He made a straightforward choice. When Sasuke turns 17, Hinata Hyuga will marry Sasuke Uchiha along with Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamamaka. Along with any other girls that the Leaf Village Council wishes for the boy. The individual stated. Smirking, Sasuke said, I accept. I'm going to be married to the only girl that will ever love you. And don't worry, my dear. I'll make sure that our honeymoon is one to remember. You hear that, dope? He said, hoping Naruto could hear him in the afterlife. No, I refuse. If you refuse, the Hyuga clan will lose all of its titles and rank in the Land of Fire. I have ruled. The man walked away. Let us go, Hinata. It is time for training. Hinata broken over what the Fire Lord had ruled for her. Her life was over. First she loses the love of her life, only then to have to marry the scum that put him there. She looked at Sasuke fiercely. The second you touch me, worm, is the second that the Uchiha clan dies. She threatened as she walked back to her father's side. Naruto was shocked to his core. Yes. That was all it took. Thank you, stupid humans. You have ensured Naruto's ascent to power. Naruto screamed as the chain on his chest was no more. He screamed because he no longer looked human. He was changing in some way. It was happening for better or worse. Power said, ah. Naruto then experienced that emotion. Hinata. I swore. I will be back. That's it. Naruto in his new and better form. Abandoned to the shadows, to never again be seen in this world. For an indeterminate duration. Many years later, time skips. It was a long and lonely first 200 years or so for Naruto in Hueco Mundo. The fact that Kyuubi shaped him into the person he is today was the first thing that went well. Or at least got it going. After saying, no vessel of mine will start at the bottom. Again. She transformed him into a Vasto Lord using her boundless power. Instead of eating to gain power, Naruto trained, and as a result, he became stronger than everyone else. Some people were content with simply being a Vasto Lord, but Naruto wasn't. He desired greater authority, but when he was at the height of his strength. He was a Majesty Vasto Lord now, the most powerful of all. He who is Majesty is the strongest, goes a saying in Hueco Mundo. He is king of Hueco Mundo because he is the strongest. Being king was never Naruto's goal. All he desired was a proposal. But for now, a proposal would have to wait. However, going to the human world to kick their ass and battle Soul Reapers was enjoyable. He was unchallengeable. Except for the one time he faced off against 13 powerful Soul Reapers. Later, though, more on that. One day, Naruto thought of something while he was bored as hell. How would I react if I removed my mask? During his conversation with Kyuubi, he asked himself this question. Maybe you should take off your mask and lose all your power that you worked so hard on, Kyuubi said when he expressed his desire to return to his human form. Then one day. And he did. With a force that pushed away every other hollow in his immediate vicinity. Naruto removed his mask. And sensed his strength increase. 10 times. He discovered that he was wearing a simple white coat when he arrived. And 2 swords by his side. Naruto decided that a purpose could wait since he was aware of his additional abilities. Mastering these abilities was his goal. He appeared more human when he looked in the mirror. He actually had a human appearance. Just as he would if he were 16 years old. He had lost his mask entirely. Not his power, though. Naruto spent the next 500 years honing his new abilities in his spare time, which was constantly. He grinned at his newfound strength. But as he grew older, he was depressed. Once more, he had no intention. Then he had a purpose one day. 2 centuries after mastering his power, he was placed in search of. He found his proposal, whatever it was he was searching for. He discovered a young girl in tears. She had on a little green rag that covered her small frame. Her head had a fractured skull. She was taken aback. Another hollow with its mask removed. However, what made it a child? Naruto said, "Child, why are you crying?" in a gentle tone. The young girl gave him a look. Then, still in tears, he leapt into his arms. Some big bad hollows came and attacked Nell and her brothers. Nell's brothers fought back, but there were too many of them. Nell's brothers told Nell to run, so Nell ran until Nell couldn't run anymore. But now Nell is all alone and can't find Nell's brothers. She was weeping in her chest. Naruto became enraged. This kid had strength. He sensed it. Still, there was something strange about her. There she is. About a dozen hollows, Ijuka's class, or something similar, were visible when Naruto looked up. A large bull that resembled Ijuka's taunted Naruto, saying, "I don't know why you're here, Soul Reaper. But give us the girl and we'll let you have a head start at getting away." Behind Naruto's legs, Nell ran. The young girl pointed to them and said, "Where are Nell's brothers?" "That's them, they're the ones that were fighting," she shouted. The bull chuckled and gestured to his stomach, saying, "Right here." The bull and the others were laughing even harder now, and Nell started to cry because she had lost everything. "I hope you're all happy," they said, pausing as Naruto's power started to increase. "Because now, you're all dead." All of them vanished in an instant after Naruto destroyed the hollows with his sword, causing the adorable young girl to cry. Nell was crying and said, "Now, sob, Nell's all, sob, alone, sob, again." Nell looked up and saw Naruto grinning down at her, saying, "No, you're not. You won't ever be alone again as long as I am here." With the baby face on, Nell ran and sobbed in Naruto's chest, saying, "Nell's name is Nell. What's yours? I'll protect you from now on." With joy, she inquired. With a smile, Naruto said, "My name is Naruto." Did Naruto swear that he would never abandon Nell again? Her voice remained childlike as she asked. "Yes. I swear." Naruto grinned, having once again discovered his calling, which no one would take away from him. It had been 100 years since then, and Naruto had been searching for a way to return Nell's power and form to what they had been before whatever had caused it. However, he had a problem. He needed both Hollow power and Soul Reaper power, which were not connected like his was. The Hollow part was easy enough, he just needed to kill weak little Ijukas, and they were everywhere. The hard part was finding a Soul Reaper strong enough to help Nell, and all he found were no-name nobodies. It was not worth the effort to kill them, but he did it anyhow. At this rate, it would take another 100 years to return Nell to her former self. He also noticed that her mask fragment skull was damaged, as if someone had attempted to cut it in half, and nearly succeeded. He'll take care of that one in due time. "We're returning to the human world. All right, Nell. All right, Nell. I must locate some Soul Reapers powerful enough to assist you." Naruto grinned at the young girl. Human world, yeah. Nell enjoys the human world, which is a lovely place. In her chibi child voice, Nell yelled. "We leave now, we might not come back so soon this time," Naruto said, grinning, after trying his best to help her forget about the people she had previously referred to as her brothers. "Okay, Nell. Come on, let's go." "Come on, brother," she cheered. Nell is glad to see the sun again. Grinning, Naruto lifted Nell and placed him on his shoulder. "Come on, big brother." Nell can't wait to see the sun once more, she gave a cheer. He jumped in when Naruto opened a portal to Karakura town, the location he always goes to. In Karakura, it was night when Naruto and Nell entered the world of the living. Hollows fled to their world, wanting nothing to do with this great power, and souls hid in fear, hoping beyond hope that they were not discovered. A tremendous amount of spiritual pressure was felt throughout Karakura town by anyone who could feel it. An orange-haired teen felt it barely, but he ignored it. "Fantastic. We just so happened to enter at night, Naruto remarked. Big brother, it's okay. He still looks prettier here at night than he does at Hueco Mundo. Nell rests on his shoulders. Naruto said, I see. So, first, what would you like to do? Nell is eager to visit the water. In Hueco Mundo, water is never seen. Nell wants to go there initially. Excellent. Let's go. Naruto began to make his way to the town's river. Close by, Soy Fan was having a normal day in this place. Sort of. She was training this year's new recruits. About 12 or so. Only one of them had any real potential to be a seat officer. Anyway, she was trained this kids in Karakura town. The place was rich in spirit energy. And low-level hollows were always around. So she knew her hand-picked new recruits would have no trouble fighting their first hollow. But that changed, in a heartbeat. In a blink of an eye, 2 hollows came into Karakura town. Their spirit energy beyond that of anything she had ever faced before. One was that of a high-level captain, on par with her own. The other sent shivers down her spine. She dare say that not even the captain commander could beat it. She looked at her new recruits. All of them were on the ground painting, trying to breathe. Then it settled down. The recruits managed to pick themselves up. While they did that, Soy Fan went to go find them. The hollows that had this unholy spirit energy. What she saw shocked her to her core. Even more than the power that they had. In addition to wearing a full-body green cloth, one of them had a scar on her face and a cracked skull on top of her head, giving her a childlike appearance. She saw a handsome young man with spiky blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, and a noble feel. He was wearing a white coat and had 2 zanpakutos on him, one at his waist and one at his back. The waist zanpakuto had a black cloth around it, while the back zanpakuto had a blood-red cloth. He appeared to be a human or even a soul reaper, but she had never seen him in the Soul Society or among the 13 court guards. His power made her feel afraid, something she had never experienced before as a soul reaper. Fantastic. It was nighttime in the world of the living, so he was disappointed when she heard the blonde say, "We just happened to come in when it's nighttime." Big brother, it's okay. They were hollows, but they looked so human. She heard the young girl tell the blonde, "Nighttime here, he's still prettier than nighttime at Hueco Mundo." I understand. Thus, first, what would you like to do? What are they up to? She heard the blonde repeat. Nell is eager to visit the water. In Hueco Mundo, water is never seen. Nell wants to go there first. The young woman was speaking in the third person. Was that her name? Soy Fan kept observing the two. Excellent. Let's go. Soy Fan became even more perplexed when the blonde started to flow toward the town's river. What brings them here? Are they merely seeing? She asked herself. Follow them, stay out of sight, and hide your spirit energy, she said, glancing at her terrified group of recruits. They all nodded when she said, "Don't let me down on this." Away from the main part of the town, Naruto and Nell were gazing at the peaceful river with the moon shining on the water. Naruto sighed. He had sensed a few soul reapers following them, but only one of them was noteworthy. I suppose it was too much to ask to be free to move around the human world, but he wanted to help Nell regain her powers. She was so close to doing so that if Naruto killed the stronger soul reaper, she would. He weighed the advantages and disadvantages before making his choice. Soul reapers, hurry up. Naruto said out loud, "I know you're following us." Nell turned to face Naruto. Soul reapers? Are they present? Where? Nervously, Nell asked. Naruto turned to face Soy Fan and her group. At first, nobody emerged from hiding. Very well. Naruto disappeared with a roar. To the relief of the majority of those who followed him, all but one of them were relieved. You're following us, but why? You can't have anything from us. Naruto looked directly at Soy Fan and said, "So just leave." Those large blue eyes were so intense that Soy Fan thought the blonde in front of her was peering into her soul. Ah! Mean, wicked soul. Reapers, big brother, get rid of them. Nell shouted while attempting to conceal himself behind Naruto's head. Look at what you've done, you see. Naruto glanced at them and said, "You have sanctified Nell." Sweat falls from the soul reaper's brow. Why are you here, Hollow? Since she was the only one who could and the rest of the team was hyperventilating, Soy Fan asked. You have to be strong. To be here and not look like them, Naruto said, gesturing to her new recruits. Soy Fan was sweating, but she didn't show it. She lost a lot of power because of the limiter seal, and it was doubtful that she could handle this hollow with or without it. I asked, what are you doing here, hollow? She spoke with a little more vigor. If you don't call me a hollow, I won't respond to that question. It's been a while since I was one of those mindless animals. Address me by name, Naruto addressed her. She was stalling, asking, and what is your name? She had summoned the Soul Society to break the seal that was on her, and she knew that this hollow was much more powerful than any others she had encountered. She could fight at full strength every second. Excellent. If you tell me your name, I'll tell you mine. When I was alive, my name was Naruto Uzumaki. Formerly a Hueco Mundo Vasto Lord. Tell me yours now. Peeking out from Naruto's hair, Nell declared, and I'm Nell Soul Reaper Woman. Vasto Lord. Once one. What did that mean? She froze. Naruto said more firmly, your name women. Soy Fan is my name. And that's all I'm telling you, hollow. She briefly sensed a rise in his spiritual pressure. As I mentioned before, my name is Naruto. I'm not a hollow, please. Naruto assured her, I am more than just a hollow. What do you mean by I'm your hollow? Come on. Come on. Come on. She needed more time. Despite having 2 Zanpakutos, you appear human. What's up with Zanpakuto's hole? Naruto? She was about to call him a hollow when she noticed his irate expression. Nell and I are not the same here. We've progressed beyond hollow's level. I used to be a very high-ranking Vasto Lord hollow. However, I removed my mask after being boarded one day. According to Nell, she is in. You know what? Something just occurred to me. You don't need to hear this from me. Because there's no point. In order for assistance to arrive on time, you are stalling. You don't need that, I tell you. With his hands in his pockets, Naruto told her, as much as I would like to, I have no intention of fighting you. So, why are you present? I'm still waiting. Nell desired to enter the world of humans. Naruto gazed at the night with the city lights and said, this place is beautiful. We both detest the sight of sand in the night in Hueco Mundo. It is taken for granted by these people. However, nothing makes you love this place more than spending more than 1,000 years in a desert. 1,000 years. That's how long the Captain Commander has been at his post as Captain Commander, Soy Fan said, his eyes widening. Yes. We're going to fight now. Or will you allow me to peacefully take in this location? Although I would prefer not to fight here today. I couldn't risk you trying to kill us when we were not looking. Not that you could, Naruto uttered in a typical voice. Then he heard a radio behind her come to life, saying something he didn't understand, followed by reinforcements on the way. He understood that part quite well. Soy Fan grinned, and she raised her hand, causing a symbol that looked like a flower to vanish as she said a phase. Her power grew. Nell, find a place to hide, will you? Naruto sighed. Soy Fan wishes to fight, which worries me. Her tiny legs started to run as Nell leapt to the ground. Be careful, big brother. Remember your vow to never abandon Nell again, she hurried. Naruto looked sorrowfully at Soy Fan and said, I remember. I hope I don't kill you. Gazing into your eyes. He told her, I don't want to anymore. That surprised Soy Fan. Did he not want to kill her? A gate opened behind her, and 7 figures appeared, the first of whom was a giant man with an eye patch and a menacing grin on his face. He also had a small girl on his shoulders, who appeared to be about Nell's age based on human years and size. The next 2 were a young man with red hair and spikes, and the man next to him appeared composed and calm, while the other guy had some strange hairstyles. Naruto found the 2 next to them intriguing. A woman with blonde hair and a busty figure, and a small child who was dressed similarly to Soy Fan, Juggernaut Man, and Quiet Man. The child was a little older than Nell and the girl with pink hair on Juggernaut Man, and she had white hair. And there's a fat guy next to them. Why did you bring in 2 kids for a fight? Asked Naruto, blinking. As he gestured to the white-haired boy and the pink-haired girl, Naruto asked Soy Fan, which caused the kid to tickle and the busty one to giggle. Recruits obeyed Soy Fan's command to go. The fat guy said, great, I was hoping to take it easy today. Juggernaut Man grinned his frightful smile and said, this looks like fun. The man with the red hair said, let's get this over with. All right. Will you make an introduction first? Not really caring who he was facing, Naruto asked. Everyone back off, he's mine. The man with the giant physique retreated. So, do you have a name or should I call you Juggernaut Man? With his hands still in his pockets, Naruto posed the question. Go, Kenny. After glancing at the young girl, Naruto turned back to the Juggernaut Man and asked, what's your name, Kenny? I can tell that you're strong, he said with a smile. You can call me Kenpachi Zaraki. The way he introduced himself would have pleased a curtain-freaky fish guy, captain of the 11th Division. Naruto introduced himself, saying, I am Naruto Uzumaki, former Vasto Lord of Hueco Mundo. After noticing his Zanpakutos, Kenpachi grinned and said, aren't you going to draw your Zanpakuto? No, Naruto shook his head. You couldn't scratch me with your current spirit energy level. Kenpachi grinned even more. Another location. A man wearing a bucket hat and fan was fanning himself, saying, this should be good. There's a black cat beside him. Yoruichi, are you relieved that Soifon won't be fighting him? I'll take that as a yes, the cat said without responding. However, this one is strong and peculiar. He has a vizard-like feeling. However, it is also an Arankar. When a young girl in green approached them, he kept fanning himself. You all seem like good people. Until Big Brother Naruto chases the mean Soul Reapers away, I'll stay with you. The young girl approached the cat and exclaimed, Ooh kitty. She started giving the poor creature a death hug. The man chuckled a little and said, poor Yoruichi. Yoruichi gave him a death glare. With Naruto again. The Soul Reapers and Naruto both leapt into the air and stood atop it. After raising his sword, Kenpachi brought it down on Naruto, who remained motionless and allowed it to strike him. The sound it made as it struck his skin resembled two Zanpakutos colliding. Naruto turned to face Ken, his smile remaining unaltered. I told you, he said. Naruto said, you can't touch me at your current level. The other captains were taken aback by this sudden change in the situation. Okay. Naruto Uzumaki, said Kenpachi with a smile, I get to do this now. Yay. Kenny is about to perform. On the sidelines, the young girl with the pink hair said. When Kenpachi removed his eye patch, Naruto felt his power expand even further than he had previously believed. Naruto was a little taken aback. With his power unhindered, Kenpachi attempted to cut him down once more, but Naruto grabbed the tip of his blade with 2 fingers, placing it between his left index finger and middle finger. I felt a barrier go up before you guys showed up, Naruto said, turning to face the captains. Does that barrier shield people from the harm we cause, including to buildings? Naruto asked politely. This shocked the captains and vice-captains. But Kenpachi was trying to free his sword from the vice grip that Naruto's 2 fingers had on his sword. Well, I hope it does. Naruto pointed his right index finger at Kenpachi's chest. Sero. Naruto's Sero was destructive. To say the least. Kenpachi was sent back down to the ground by the Sero. Oh. I apologize. I should have exercised more restraint. Like he was apologizing for not holding back more, Naruto said. I didn't think I was using that much. Ha ha ha, that was great, Uzumaki. The Soul Reapers looked shocked, and Kenpachi, the Juggernaut, was just beaten in one move. The Hollow even claimed he was holding back. Naruto and the Soul Reapers looked at where Kenpachi landed, and the Ruble forced away to revile him. His upper body was bloody and no longer covered because it was destroyed. Fantastic. I haven't enjoyed myself this much in a long time. Ken shouted wildly joyfully. Oh, I'm happy you made it through. I was worried that my Sero had killed you, Naruto said to the insane Juggernaut. But if that's all you have, you can't possibly hope to scratch me. Who will come next? He turned to face the sideline group of Soul Reapers. Uzumaki, I'm not finished yet, I have a long way to go. Oh. Is that correct? Naruto looked back at Kenpachi. Oh, very well. Naruto reached for his black Zanpakuto. Both were the same as Ulquiorra's Zanpakuto, but one was black, the other was red. But then he stopped. Is he not worthy? Naruto seemed to ask himself. Everyone looked at him. I see. Apologies, Kenpachi. You're not worthy of fighting her, according to my Zanpakuto. Unfortunately. Don't worry, though, you still have to face my other powers. Although Kenpachi was offended by Zanpakuto's claim that he was undeserving, he found the other powers' remark fascinating. Naruto extended his hand and said, "Generation of javelins is being drained." A 5-foot long javelin made of pure red energy came to life. It took me a long time to perfect this little number. Be proud to be the first to test it. With a menacing grin on his face, Naruto prepared to throw it like a pitcher and then let it fly at Kenpachi, sending it straight through his chest and into the ground. "Is that all you have?" With the javelin still in him, he screamed at the blonde. When Naruto extended his hand, his eyes widened. "No, it's just that it's difficult to fight you at the moment. I don't want to engage in full power or even half power combat with you. Such a demonstration of my power is not appropriate for you. I will, however, seize your power for myself. You've had enough." Before long, everyone could sense that Naruto's hand was depleting his javelin's energy. Kenpachi felt his spirit energy dwindling quickly, and his eyes widened once more. "Don't be concerned, Juggernaut Man. You will eventually be able to regain the power I am taking away from you." As hard as it would seem, Kenpachi was on his knees in a matter of seconds. No longer able to stand, Naruto looked around at the others. He questioned, "So, who's next?" There was something unsettling about his smirk. It shocked the other captains. As a captain would beat a pupil, this hollow beat Kenpachi. "We take him together. We attack with everything we've got," the little white-haired kid suggested to the others. The fat one told the child, "Right, Captain." "He's a captain?" inquired Naruto. Toshiro gave this another checkmark. And the woman bursts into laughter. Naruto repeated, "What's a captain?" The Soul Reapers all perspire. The little pink-haired girl ran to the down captain's side and said, "Thank you for playing with Kenny. Kenny had fun, blonde." The man with the red hair said, "We will take you down, Hollow. You will not survive past tonight." "Such a waste of my time." "Very well, if you all wish to fight me, give it all you got." Naruto seemed to be extending both arms to embrace them. "Crush him." Jijetsubori. The large man's Zanpakuto transformed into a chain, wielding spikeball. Roar. Zabumaru had become the whip, like Zanpakuto of the red head. Growl. Hineka. The busty blonde's blade of her Zanpakuto turned to ash. At this, Naruto arched an eyebrow. Soifan's Zanpakuto appears to be a bee's stringer in the line, "Sting all enemies to death." Suzumaki. When the quiet captain said, "Scatter." Senbon Sakura. His Zanpakuto turned into numerous tiny pink flower petals. "Sit upon the frozen heavens." Hiranmaru. The young child's ice dragon Zanpakuto said. Naruto gazed at the show of strength before him. Naruto's head cocked. Naruto held up one figure and said, "Question." Naruto pointed to Kenpachi and questioned, "Why didn't Juggernaut Man release his Zanpakuto?" He asked, but none of the Soul Reapers in front of him responded. Naruto sulked and said, "How rude." But Naruto gestured to them with his right hand. The captain stiffened slightly. Grabbing his black Zanpakuto, Naruto said, "She says that all of you combined are worthy," and took it out of its sheath entirely, for her to come out and play. The other one was not worthy to fight her. He grinned. He looked a little sour and said, "Let's see how you six fare against her." He told himself, "With this, she is almost complete." The next battle was on the horizon. Naruto got into the fight right away. Naruto was behind them with a sonito. His blade was dripping blood from the first person to fall in this brief battle. The big guy was the first to fall. His shikai dropped to the ground, bottom half down. Then he had a huge cut across his big beer belly, then dropped to the earth beneath. The captains and vice captains did nothing but blink. Naruto stated icily, "One down. 5 to go." Next, the curvaceous blonde yelled, "Hineka," at Naruto. Naruto looked at her at that moment. There was no life in his eyes. They were as cold as ice, colder than Toshiro's. The white-haired child saw the expression on the blonde hollow's face and yelled, "Rangaku, wait," at her. However, it was too late. Rangaku was wrapped in a black box and exclaimed, "Way of destruction." Black coffin. The box was then punctured by black spears. Rangaku screamed, and Toshiro heard it. Rangaku sustained numerous cuts that were quite painful when the box dissipated. She also landed on a building's roof. With the same icy tone, Naruto uttered, 2 down. 4 to go. Rangaku. Go Zabumaru. The red-haired man then pounced on Naruto. Naruto looked in his direction. He realized that he had already lost when Renji and Naruto's eyes locked. Naruto was on the opposite side of Renji and only Sonido. Renji was cut from side to side a second later. His Shikai became normal again. Then he collapsed as well. Naruto turned to the 3 captains and said, 3 down. 3 to go. Now that the weak ones are out of the way, we can fight for real. While the first group observes the battle, the man fanning himself was impressed, saying, would you look at that? He took out 3 vice captains faster than anyone I've ever seen. He even used Kido. The big mean Soul Reapers have no chance to beat Big Brother Naruto. He's beaten loads of strong hollows back in Hueco Mundo. Even other Arankars, Big Brother Naruto is undefeated, Nell said as he continued to crush Yoruichi. The fan man asked Nell, other Arankars? Nell, how many other Arankars are there? Nell does not know. But Nell knows that Nell is an Arankar. Big Brother Naruto has been collecting the power of mean evil Soul Reapers and hollows so he can restore Nell's power. That's what Big Brother Naruto says he's going to do for Nell. Nell continued to hug the cat. Collect Soul Reaper and hollow powers. How is he doing that? Replied the fan man. With wide eyes, the cat said, by killing them silly. Don't you know anything? When a hollow and a Soul Reaper see each other, it is the job of a hollow to kill them so that the mean evil Soul Reapers don't go off doing other bad stuff. When Big Brother kills them, he takes the power of that mean evil Soul Reaper so he can help Nell. The cat started to flee from Arankar's grasp. I think you should let the kitty go for now, Nell. I think she needs to do something important. Nell was told by the fan man. Nell glanced at the cat, who simply nodded, and asked, oh, does Kitty promise to come back to Nell? With a, okay. Nell released the cat, and she spirited off to spar, wishing to save a significant other. While the other group observes the altercation, a man with blonde hair and a smile that seemed to last forever said to the others who were observing, wow, that guy has some impressive spiritual pressure. A large, pink-haired man answered, yes, he does. It feels like ours, but still different. An irritated short girl said, so, let's just kill the dumbass when he's done with the captains. That would be unwise. He defeated 4 vice captains and that one captain faster than any of us have beaten a low-level hollow. And the fact he is not going all out against 3 Shikai released Zanpakutos from 3 captains means he's far stronger than he is letting on. Another girl responded. The Grin Man said, we'll watch for now, see what happens. Returning to the altercation during the talks. When the captains who were only flashing moved aside, Naruto Sonido went to the closest one, which was the child. When the child blocked with his Zanpakuto, he used his own to bring it down. Toshiro felt the overwhelming power of his hollow, despite his best efforts to hold the blade back. The attack was being launched without any effort from Naruto himself. The boy was then kicked in the stomach by Naruto, making him gasp for air. Then, when Naruto fired a Sero at close range, it was hurled quickly to the ground. The silent captain then charged at Naruto. He is surrounded by tiny pink flower petals that are simultaneously attacking Naruto. Naruto simply sat there and accepted the petals' attack. When Byakuya killed the hollow, Soifon grinned. However, when the pink petals were blown away, both captains were taken aback. Only his white coat was harmed, but the hollow Naruto was still present. Naruto simply reached for and tore off his ruined white coat, admiring the hollow hole in the middle of his toned chest. Some women flushed. The location of Ichigo's hollow hole. This is Naruto Sonido facing the silent captain. Additionally, Sero Rasengan. A red Rasengan was driven into Byakuya's stomach by Naruto. Like the others, he was sent to the ground. When he sensed Soifon attempting to stab him in the back, Naruto Sonido moved from his position. He came up behind her. In order to avoid being cut down by Naruto, she stepped. As she looked at his chest, she flushed once more. It was only then that she became aware of her less than professional error. Naruto positioned himself behind her, took hold of her arm, freed Zanpakuto, and held it away from them. Seized her other arm and encircled her neck with it. She was immobile now. Soi Fan was criticizing her own behavior. What a dumb error. She will lose her life as a result of her distraction. She wasn't yet dead, she thought. Naruto said more than he was asked. You're holding back. Don't. Naruto then inhaled deeply and smelled Soi Fan's hair. With a playful tone, Naruto remarked, you smell good. Soi Fan became enraged by that and kicked him in the face with her flex. After releasing her left hand, she turned around and kneed him in the groin after elbowing him in the gut. Soi Fan smirked and moved away from him. Naruto was clutching at his sore groin. Not particularly hurt, Naruto remarked. Had that been permanent, I would have been very upset. Naruto pointed his index finger at her and said, I'm sorry to say, my dear, that it's time to end our date a little short. Soi Fan chose to create clones of herself as a reaction. All 15 of her clones simultaneously uttered the words, see if you can hit me now, hollow. Naruto continued to charge his Sero and said, clones? No. Not really clones, after images. Nothing special. But, now a normal Sero won't hit you now. Soi Fan's eyebrows went up. Naruto had finished his charge. Kyuubi Sero. Naruto swung a red Sero at her afterimages and Soi Fan. Not the typical Sero. Although there was not much damage, this one broke into 9 others, struck 9 of the after photos, and then those 9 broke into 9 more, striking the remaining ones as well as Soi Fan. However, it rendered her motionless. Like the previous one, this one was red. This one is my favorite Sero Soi Fan. I hope it doesn't kill you. Grand Queen Kyuubi Sero. The statement read. However, this one did not split into 9 separate Seros like the other one did. This one struck Soi Fan after assuming the shape of the Kyuubi's head. The eyes of a nearby cat widened. They had a dejected expression. Naruto said out loud to himself, I hope she's alive. I didn't want to fight in the first place. A figure dropped to the ground beneath them from the smoke. Naruto Sonido was standing next to her head when she attempted to stand up. She searched for, weak and tired, the unreleased form of her sword beside her. As she stared defiantly into his eyes, she only said, finish it. She kept staring up at him, saying, kill me you monster, and see what happens when the Soul Society comes for you. She met his eyes. He appeared wounded for a moment. She could still see good blue eyes, though. She had her eyes on them. She sensed. As though her soul was being examined by these hollow eyes. She had never felt so exposed in someone else's eyes. Yoruichi's gaze on her was the only other instance. Naruto was wounded. It had been a while since he had been referred to as a monster, so he was hurt. It's to be expected, I suppose. By all rights, I am a monster. Naruto lifted his blade, preparing to stab. By all rights, but one. As Naruto lowered his blade, Soi Fan closed her eyes. No. Soi Fan was directly in front of Naruto when he stabbed him. Naruto sheathed his Zanpakuto and said, I will not kill you, Soi Fan. For I am not a monster. He looked at a feline. As the cat walked towards Soi Fan, Naruto said, I suggest getting your fellow comrades back to that Soul Society place of yours. They might die without treatment. After using up all of her remaining spirit energy to lessen the severity of the damage from that previous attack, Soi Fan was on the verge of fainting. She must not have denied much of it. Then she noticed a cat approaching her. The cat's words were not heard by Soi Fan. She was too stunned to rationalize. Then she fainted. Naruto gave the cat a look. It was standing before Soi Fan. The cat said, please don't kill her. Naruto blinked. Naruto looked down at the cat and said, I'm going out on a limb here and say that you're no ordinary fluffy kitty. The cat said in a deep, male-like voice, yes, I am no ordinary fluffy kitty. At this point, the cat repeated, please don't kill her. Don't worry. I had no intention of killing any of them. Nor did I want to fight them in the first place. But I didn't want to risk Nell's life since they were following us. The feline gave a nod. Follow me if you please. Naruto was ready to leave when he said, sorry fluffy kitty. I need to find Nell. Little girl in green cracked skull on her head, scar on her face, and talks in the third person? Yay. Have you seen her? The cat shakes its head no and says, nope, sorry. The joke about the cat made Naruto perspire. The cat grinned and said, "Follow me, I know someone who has." However, since it's a cat, you couldn't tell. Avoiding, well, everything by following the cat to a tiny store, he went inside after the cat. A man wearing a fan said, "Ah, I see our guest has arrived." He said to Naruto, "Welcome to my shop." Naruto gave a nod. Big brother, Nell is glad that Nell's big brother is safe. So, did Nell's big brother drive off those mean evil soul reapers? Nell inquired. Naruto slapped Nell on the head and said, "Yes. I drove off those mean evil yet one being very pretty soul reapers." Kitty. Nell barged into the store after Yoruichi. As she goes, she breaks things. Naruto apologized to the fan man, saying, "Sorry about that. She has a one-track mind sometimes." "That's alright. Now then, Naruto, we have some things we need to talk about." More items that resembled glass broke. Shortly after the altercation, as you can see, another group was observing. A woman with different colored eyes remarked, "That was interesting. That guy beat 4 captains in a row without breaking a sweat." She was impressed, based on the tone of her voice. Another with a sleeve over her mouth said to her dual-eyed companion, "Indeed. Even at that power. I doubt that was all of it. I bet that he had way more than that." A woman with dark skin told the others, "That power was monstrous. I was stronger than most of the Espada." That power. Was barely any of his full power. He had 2 Zanpakutos but drew only 1. Never called its name or used many Seros, he even used Kido. I dare say that he is far beyond almost all of the Espada. Never fight him alone. The 4th member of the team advised the others. "If his full name is Naruto Uzumaki," she said, leaving the statement open. Ended. If you remember the little one saying his name, she called him Naruto. The majority of the 4th group member's face was hidden. Spiky green eyes and blonde hair. The 4 women disappeared after saying, "Let us go back to Las Noches." Urahara's shop with Naruto said to the fan, who is now Kazuki Urahara, "So, let me get this straight. You 2 are soul reapers." Kazuki gave a nod. If Naruto hadn't released the cat from the child Arrancar's embrace of doom, Nell would have been drooling on Yoruichi while he was asleep. "And you guys don't want to fight me even though I'm part hollow?" Kazuki gave another nod. "Alright. I'll bite. Why not?" Naruto continued to gaze at them suspiciously. He asked casually, "Why is that so hard to believe?" Naruto crossed his hands over his chest and uttered, "Let's just say my limited experience with soul reapers ends with them dead and me annoyed." Kazuki informed him of the events that took place in their current exile, saying, "Well, you see 100 years ago." "I see. Makes sense to me. Any other soul reaper would have tried to kill Nell by now. Which I am grateful you haven't. She is my purpose in life now." Naruto kissed Nell on the forehead. "Your purpose?" Kazuki inquired, somewhat taken aback. "Yes. In Hueco Mundo, your purpose in life, or afterlife as it were, is to kill and get stronger. If not, you die and your existence ends. I never thought of that way of life as a purpose. Just a way to survive." Nell was stroking the hair of Naruto. Kazuki chose to pay attention, and refrain from speaking. "The first 900 years of my life in Hueco Mundo was nothing but to become the strongest in that world. I would go to the human world from time to time to fight a soul reaper to see if any of them were strong. Only one other time I had fought what I now know as a captain. I managed to kill 12 of them." Naruto sighed. Yoruichi's and Kazuki's eyes grew wide. With all his carelessness gone, Kazuki questioned, "You killed 12 soul reaper captains?" Naruto shrugged and said, "Yay, but one got away." "You killed 12 of the 13 captains of the court guards in your fight? All at once?" Unbelieving what she was hearing, Yoruichi inquired. "Yes. They were tough as they come, though. I had recently attained the title of Majesty Vasto Lord." "What? Hold on. Lord, a Majesty Vasto? Yes, it's the best possible form of hollow. In Hueco Mundo, the Vasto Lord have varying degrees of authority. The newborn are the most prevalent Vasto Lord. That has just become such, Vasto Lord. They are comparable to a captain of a soul reaper. The average ones are, anyway. Nobles are next. Naturally, there are fewer nobles, but they still have the ability to battle and defeat a captain. Kazuki's and Yoruichi's eyes widened once more. The last Vasto Lord type comes next. Lord, Majesty Vasto. The most powerful hollow of all. Majesty can defeat up to 13 captains. Even so, I'm not sure how much I can handle. I had never before had to fight at full strength. When I evolved into who I am today, I was a Vasto Lord Majesty. There is a Hueco Mundo proverb. The strongest is the one with majesty. He who is strongest is king of Hueco Mundo. Naruto listened to their minds as they processed what he had just said. He was in front of them, and he was the strongest hollow in the world. After a few minutes, Yoruichi finally got up to say, "What are you now?" She hesitated. "First, the board. However, we're straying from the topic of Nell serving as my goal." It was painful to see her crying when I discovered her. I made sure Nell was never alone after I killed the hollows that were acting as her big brothers because they had been killed by other hollows. My goal now is to keep her safe. There are moments when she longs to enter the human world. I bring her, then. With 100 years and the power to restore her just around the corner. Naruto gazed at Nell's sleeping form and said, "If our presence is bothering you, we will depart when Nell wants to return to Hueco Mundo." Yoruichi, who was still without a shirt, eyed his toned chest and said, "No, you're no disturbing us." To maintain his smile behind his fan, Kazuki fanned himself. "Naruto, if it's okay with you, I have a question regarding Nell." "Go ahead." Nell claimed that in order to restore her power, you have been gathering Hollow and Soul Reaper abilities. By that, what did she mean? Did he ask? Well, it wouldn't hurt to tell you. Nell is, in a sense, trapped, he began. How? Yoruichi, still in cat form, inquired. Well, I don't know the specifics, but when Nell's mask got damaged, she lost a lot of her power. Arankars lose power when their masks are removed or damaged. Ever since it occurred, Nell's power has been seeping out of her broken mask. I have no idea when it occurred. Since then, I'd located Nell. However, that was more than a century ago. In order to fix the harm done to her and give her power back, I have been gathering power from Hollows and Soul Reapers ever since. Although it won't happen immediately, her power will return once her mask is fixed. She will regain her authority in due time. Naruto exclaimed, "I'm so close." Are you any closer to giving her back her power? Kazuki questioned Naruto. Well, when Nell had all of her strength, she was strong. If the men I defeated earlier are any indication, she was just as powerful as a Captain Soul Reaper. I'm not sure exactly how powerful it is. Naruto informed them, we didn't meet when she was at her strongest. So, how do you know she possessed all of the power you assert? Yoruichi almost broke her little spine when she looked at the child Arankar. She would leak roughly half of those guys' daily power when I'm not around. She gradually regains it, but she needs assistance to become stronger. I control that when I'm around. In order for her to lose less. Miles away in Hueco Mundo, you could sense it. About getting her power back. All the hollow power I need to bring her back is in me. Finding Soul Reaper power to complete it was the challenge, though, Naruto sighed. Why not use your own strength? Kazuki shut off his fan. I need untainted Soul Reaper power, Naruto said, shocking his head no. If not, I would have assisted her by using mine. Nell's perfection as an Arankar is the reason. By Hueco Mundo standards, at least. When a hollow is transformed into an Arankar through unearthly methods, the barrier preventing it is removed, and pure Soul Reaper power floods their mask. I have no idea how she did it. Pure Soul Reaper power is what she needs. Repairing the mask and regaining her own hollow powers is another hollow power she requires. She doesn't go on a murderous rampage and regain her Soul Reaper abilities because the power keeps her sane. Gaining humanity and power is what it means to be an Arankar. Naruto told them, but then you feel ache for the sins you have commented. This was a lot of information for them to process. How about you? You have 2 Zanpakutos in a hollow hole. No fragment of the mask, though. Thus, you are neither Visored nor Arankar. A what? A Visored is a Soul Reaper who has acquired hollow abilities. I apologize. In essence, an Arankar in reverse, Kazuki clarified. Oh, I see. However, I am neither Visored nor Arankar. I am a completely different race. Oh. What is the name of it? To be honest, I didn't know what to call it. I never required one. Because of my fear, no hollow would dare attempt what I did. And, I assume, due to certain regulations, no Soul Reaper would. However, I refer to my race as the Masud Rerda, Naruto informed them. The Forsaken? Why? Before Kazuki could respond, Yoruichi inquired. Because I am half hollow and half Soul Reaper, and more powerful than both. Simply put, hollows dislike everyone and everything. Therefore, they would never accept me. And let's not even talk about Soul Reapers. Anything that isn't 100% Soul Reaper is hated by them. Thus, yes. Naruto, another question. Shoot Fanman. How did you end up the way you are? Kazuki was genuinely intrigued. I am what I am because of a hollow. They have to do what most people wouldn't even dare consider. To get power, they can't eat. That's the simple route. I was a newborn Vasto Lord when I died and turned into a hollow. However, I didn't consume any of the hollows I thrashed. Rather, I obliterated the corpses and absorbed their released power. Keep in mind that I only received about 85% of their power. 10% would be lost, and the remaining 5% was their soul. Naruto informed them, I don't get more power the stronger the soul. But why wouldn't eating a soul give you as much power as your way? Yoruichi's eyes widened. Hollows are pathetic, stupid animals. However, they are more hateful and irate. When someone is eaten as a hollow, they unknowingly show their last resentment toward the person who consumed them. The soul eats away at some of the hollow's power when it enters them. Furthermore, the soul joins all the other souls that the hollow has consumed, further eroding its power. They use 90% of the energy they consume to put those souls to sleep and fix the harm caused by consuming the hollow's soul. The hollow's power is increased by just 10%. If so, for this reason, if you're looking for a Vasto Lord, they're very difficult to find. A Vasto Lord would gain nearly 80% of the power they consume if they kept eating after they had transformed into who they are. However, the majority stop eating because they are content with being a newborn Vasto Lord. Naruto turned to face Kazuki and Yoruichi. Sorry, I can be a bit of a ranter. I'm hoping this is useful, but I have to leave. Yoruichi asked hastily, why? I have to. I'm very close to giving Nell his abilities back. All I need is a bit more Soul Reaper strength. That Juggernaut guy is really helpful. I only made it this far so fast because of him. I assumed I wouldn't be able to do it for another 100 years. Naruto appeared somewhat content. So, Yoruichi, Naruto, and I are all captain-level Soul Reapers. We might be able to assist, Kazuki said, grinning a little. Really? Would you? Thank you. Kazuki nodded. If this is successful, I will be indebted to you. Naruto bowed to them until his head touched the ground, saying, if it's within my power, then it will be done. So, how did you obtain our Soul Reaper power besides murdering us? Kazuki inquired, unwilling to engage in combat with this man. Well, there are a few methods. I could use all of your power if I killed you, but that's not an option. The next is painful but more difficult. I battle you and gradually deplete you. However, that can wait until later. In actuality, the quickest and least painful route is the easiest one. I soak it up when we go somewhere that allows you to let go of as much spiritual energy as you can. It shouldn't take long between the two of you. 10 minutes or so. Naruto hoped that was insufficient. At maximum strength? Yoruichi inquired. Naruto picked up Nell, who was still asleep, and said, no, just a constant stream of your power will do. Come, let's get this show on the road. Both of them turned to face him and asked, how is it that a cat is a Soul Reaper captain? Oh, how would he get his answer? He asked. In the never-ending training area, after passing out from a nosebleed, Naruto's reaction to Yoruichi's human form was priceless. He briefly regained consciousness before passing out again after discovering his head in Yoruichi's cleavage, the deadly weapon of mass bleeding. After escaping from Yoruichi's cleavage for the third time, Naruto cleaned himself before they began. This is going to tear you out. You'll be alright, though. One more thing, they both nodded. Just release your spirit energy close to me, and my sword will take care of the rest. My Zanpakuto will be released. It's normal to feel a sense of dread and despair, but don't be afraid. His tone was reassuring. My power is not aiming at you with ill intent. Both initially appeared perplexed. Naruto held out his black blade before him, saying, "Devastate and despair. Forbidden angel." Even with the two of them together, the rocky wasteland was covered in a tremendous amount of spirit energy that was black in color. When he draws his Zanpakuto, it feels like old man Yamamoto. Kazuki looked shocked. He had never felt so completely powerless, as if the power in front of him could kill him at any moment. After the power drained, Naruto's blade changed into a sinister purple hue with a slight curvature, resembling a circle with curves from one end to the other. "My Zanpakuto, the Forbidden Angel, is this." Naruto explained his Zanpakuto, saying, "She who prays to a god that dares not listen. Now then, let us begin." Naruto raised up his Zanpakuto, saying, "Whenever you're ready." They both nodded, and they started to release their spirit energy. First, Naruto was taken aback because he didn't think they had this much power, but it wasn't an unpleasant one. Devastation. Naruto's voice sounded a little like an echo. Immediately, Kazuki and Yoruichi sensed that their spirit energy was being drained from them. They felt hopeful that they were acting appropriately, that this hollow was different from the others, and that his intention was sincere. Once again, Naruto was taken aback. He initially believed that it would take 10 or so minutes, but now that they might finish in 2, he stopped draining them. "Stop. Thank you. I have all that I need." Both were relieved. Despair. They looked up, believing that he had attacked them, but the sword was aimed at Lil Nell. They felt hollow, and they could feel the Soul Reaper power entering Nell. Before long, results were displayed. They were blinded by a dazzlingly bright light, and in the aftermath, Naruto found himself staring at whom, you ask? At an adult Nell. It appeared that the small green garment she was wearing was too small for her now, and it was torn, revealing a lot of lovely female skin. Nell opened her eyes, groggy from just waking up, yawned, and sat up. Kazuki and Naruto, the group's perverts, were staring at her chest, Kazuki because he's a pervert at heart, and Naruto because he wasn't expecting this. Nell rubbed her eyes to get rid of them, and then she saw Naruto. Naruto. Nell proceeded to give Naruto her super hot hug of pleasant death. Basically she was hugging him in her cleavage, crushing him more like it. Naruto struggled fruitlessly to escape and pass out for the third time that night by a combination of blood loss and lack of O2. Huh. Nell turned to face Naruto, who was now limp. "Oh no, what happened? Are you okay, Naruto?" She began violently shaking him to check on him, and he was fine, of course. Yoruichi and Kazuki both laughed. 10 minutes later, Naruto awoke, and Nell was waiting for him. "Naruto." She gave him the same embrace once more, but this time Naruto was able to get away unwillingly, of course. "Nell? Did he ask?" She grinned at him and said, "Yep. But my full name is Nalil II Oderschwenk." She laughed at Naruto's expressionless expression. "Longest name ever. Do you mind if I keep calling you Nell? Your full name is a bit of a mouthful," he said. "Did he ask?" "Obviously not foolish. You protected me when I was in a weakened state. I don't mind, then." "Thank you, Naruto," she said to him, shedding some of the childlike demeanor he had grown accustomed to, but this adult Nell was much hotter. "Oh, what is this?" She picked up a shiny object and looked at herself in it. Nell appeared normal, with no scars, her mask fragment completely repaired, and everything else in place. Given that she was still wearing her green rags, the only thing he needed to work on was her clothing. He grinned and said, "Well, I'm glad you're yourself again." "Oh, Naruto." She gave him another hug and said, "That smile makes you look so adorable." She rubbed her face against his as she spoke. Looking up, Naruto remarked, "On second thought, she still has that childish personality. That's still good, because looking down." "Well, I see that you're awake, Naruto." Both Naruto and Nell looked at the owner of the voice. Then Naruto saw the stars in Nell's eyes. "Kitty." Nell chased after the cat while pointing. Fearing for her life, Yoruichi ran as fast as she could to escape, but Nell caught her before she could use any real speed. Nell's touch was unexpectedly gentle and not at all like her child version, but Yoruichi was able to adjust. "In any case, Naruto and Nell, we need to talk about a few things." Both of you nodded, taking it seriously. "Well, if you both want to stay here in the human world, I can help there. And also teach you what you need to know to survive here in the real world. Basic common knowledge of this place and all that." Kazuki stated this while covering his face with a fan. Naruto and Nell both nodded. Kazuki was searching a bookshelf for a specific book when he said, "Right then, let's get started, shall we?" Kazuki pulled out a large, ancient-looking book and said, "Aha. Found you." To remove the dust, he blew on it. The entire room was covered in dust. Before the dust settled, a minute passed. As well as when the book cover was transparent. How to Survive in the Human World for Dummies 101. Read this and it'll tell you everything you need to. Smack. Kazuki was head-butted by Yoruichi. Nell and Naruto both followed Yoruichi in cat form, saying, "Disregard what Kazuki just told you. Follow me in order to learn what you need to survive in this world. Teach them about the modern world." Additionally, Nell and Naruto listened intently. By the standards of this world, both learned what was right and wrong. In some way, Yoruichi was wearing a black graduation cap and teacher glasses when she told Naruto and Nell all of this. In the end, she was even eating an apple after finishing everything. After everything, their heads were spinning. Kazuki informed them the following day that they couldn't remain there for very long. To enable them to survive in the human world, he did provide them with gigais. Working from them wouldn't help them, and they would need money. He also warned them that it would be disastrous if Nell got a job. Naruto concurred. Naruto then came up with a concept and started writing. Kazuki was selling Naruto's book throughout the city and, for 2 weeks, throughout Japan in just 1 week. In 3 weeks, you get the idea. Kazuki possessed more mortal wealth than he could possibly count. He would, of course, control. For Naruto. Given that the boy knew absolutely nothing about money in the modern world. Naturally, Kazuki would take care of any financial arrangements that Nell and Naruto required in return. Thus, he arranged for them to share an apartment. Nell and Naruto are unaware that Kazuki is being cheap. He was stretched for it by Yoruichi. This leads us to the current issue that Naruto and Nell are facing. You see, when Kazuki sent them to their new apartment, he didn't plan ahead. Of course. They became disoriented. Since they left, they have been searching for this one location, but they were so naive that they failed to locate it, and now they are unable to locate Kazuki's store. It wasn't helped by this maze of uniformly shaped buildings either. Nell was staring at herself in a storefront window when she said, "Oh man, we're such idiots. I can't believe we didn't ask Kazuki before we left Nell." Nell? She was making odd faces, which was frightening the children inside. He grabbed her hand and pulled her away from the glass, saying, "Come on Nell. We don't need to draw attention to ourselves." For a few more minutes, Naruto and Nell were lost, and when someone offered assistance, Kami or another person heard their silent prayers. Do you two need any help? You guys look lost." Naruto and Nell noticed 2 young women to their right. One was of average height and build, with short black hair. "Hi." The other one shouted in a sort of way. She wore 2 blue hairpins in her long orange hair. She was grinning as if nothing could go wrong. To put it mildly, it was refreshing. Yay. We could use some help. We're lost. This is our first time here in Karakura town. And we're a bit lost," timidly replied Naruto. Naruto put his hand over Nell's mouth and said, "But Naruto, this is our first time, remember? Human wouldn't like us if we tell them otherwise." "Oh right." Nell joyfully responds, "Yep, it's our first time." While the other did not raise an eyebrow, the dark-haired one did. The dark-haired one said, "Well okay. Do you know where you need to go?" Naruto and Nell were both embarrassed as they said, "Yes, the address is written on this piece of paper, we just forgot to ask for directions." Naruto gave her the piece of paper and said, "Well, let me see." She examined it. "Well, this place is not hard. We're going the same way. We can show you." Nell and Naruto both said, "Really?" simultaneously. The girl with the long hair asked her friend, "They're Tatsuki?" Currently called Tatsuki. "Yay Orihime." Naruto bowed and said, "Thank you so much, we are in your department." Nell and Orihime started talking on the way there, learning about one another. Tatsuki was actually taken aback to discover someone as distinct as Orihime. Being the gentleman, Naruto carried the girl's grocery bag. As a token of appreciation for their assistance, At first, Naruto was a little worried that the two girls wouldn't approve of them. However, when Nell and Orihime quickly became friends, that came to an end. Conversing as though they had known one another for years. Orihime was pleased to see that they were directly next to her when they arrived at their apartment complex. Bringing Orihime and Nell joy. That they were happy made Naruto happy. Orihime said, "Do you two want to come over for dinner?" Naruto said courteously, "We don't want to impose." Nell inquired, "What's for dinner?" Naruto was aware of Nell's impetuous behavior. Like the person he used to be. Orihime shared her unusual dinner recipe with them, saying, "Well, I'm making chicken ramen with pears, leeks, and sushi." Both Nell and Naruto had stars in their eyes as they exclaimed, "Wow, that sounds good." At first, Tatsuki was shocked. The only person who actually ate Orihime's food was her. Nobody else had the courage. She dragged Naruto and Tatsuki, with Nell following them to her place. "Okay, I have enough for everyone. Let's go, Tatsuki." "Nell, Naruto," she said. The idea of such foods makes her mouth water. Tatsuki was seated to Naruto's left at the table, while Nell and Orihime were seated to his right. Orihime, Nell, and Naruto were consuming the ramen that Orihime had prepared, more like gobbling it up. Tatsuki's perspiration drops. In her entire life, she never imagined that she would encounter others as courageous as herself. Nell and Naruto discovered more about them as the night wore on. Orihime and Tatsuki, on the other hand, only discovered their preferences and other trivial details. Naruto and Nell had to depart quickly in order to organize their own space. They needed Tatsuki's assistance with the door lock. They adapted quite well. Cleaning up took up a significant portion of the night. However, when it was time to go to bed, they were only given one bed by that cheap bastard Kazuki. Naruto was about to leave when he said, "Well, since there is only one bed, you can have it, Nell. I'll sleep on the floor." Nell gave a yawn. She rubbed her eyes and said, "I'm sleepy, Naruto." She turned to Naruto and asked, "Naruto?" Who was half off and half on the bed, unconscious. To wake him, she gave Naruto a violent shuck. "Naruto? Oh no, Naruto. Are you all right?" she exclaimed. To discover him snoring, she laughed. She lay on the bed with Naruto on top of her and said, "Oh well, can't be helped. Good night, Naruto," she cheered. How did Naruto get knocked out, in case you were wondering? Nell yawned, then extended her arms and punched Naruto in the jaw with a ko. The following morning, Naruto was sleeping comfortably. He had soft sheets. His pillows were also plush. His hair in the wind. It was simply too ideal. Even the soothing sensation of his pillow's heartbeats was pleasant. Naruto opened his eyes. He was aware of what the wind, sheets, and pillows were now that he was conscious. The wind was Nell's breath, which was pleasant with the ocean breeze and cold mint. The sheets. Some of them were sheets, though. The majority of. Not at all. Nell's bare skin was the remainder. She twisted her legs and arms around him. She was wearing only her panties and bra. They didn't cover much, though. As well as his heart. Beat, pillows. You don't have to be intelligent. Of 5 to determine that. If you were unaware, Nell's breasts are nice and big. Naruto attempted to leave his bed, but that was thwarted by Nell's super grip of doom. She even muttered. It was as if she was terrified that Naruto would abandon her. "No, leave me, Naruto." Naruto had no choice but to return to sleep. They didn't hear any scratching at the window until much later. Both of them noticed Yoruichi when they turned to face their window. Nell Sonito called out, "Kitty," and opened the window, grabbing Yoruichi and beginning to pet her. Yoruichi was unconcerned. "I've come here to get you both. Kazuki needs to talk to you too so both of you can get used to this new life." "Okay," Nell said as she massaged Yoruichi's fur with her cheek. Naruto punched his palm and said, "Sure." Naruto grinned and said, "I own Kazuki big time." That promised a lot of suffering. Yoruichi grinned as well. "I was hoping Naruto would. Anyway, follow me. I'll take you to Kazuki's shop." Nell and Naruto gladly followed her. However, Nell is still unaware that the cat is her. During the Soul Society, the captains that Naruto had defeated were not sufficiently rested to report in for a full 2 weeks. 3 weeks are spent as the vice captain. "We are in a meeting with the captain." In front of an elderly man with a cane were Soifan, Kenpachi, the quiet man, and the young white-haired child. Now that you have recovered, you can tell us how one hollow beat you four and your vice captains. Soifan, you shall begin, as you were the one that called in this hollow. The elderly gentleman was staring at Soifan. Yes, sir. I was with my new recruits training them in Karakura town when an unbelievable amount of spiritual pressure blanketed the whole town. Any human who was even the least bit sensitive to it would have felt it. She began. The elderly man nodded, allowing her to proceed. I went to the center of this spiritual pressure only to find something I was not expecting. I saw what looked like a 16-year-old human boy and a little girl on his shoulders. He was wearing nothing but white, had blonde hair, blue eyes, and even had 2 zanpakutos. She paused to say 2 lovely blue eyes. 2? Soifan turned to face a captain wearing a helmet over his head. Yes, 2. One was black, the other was blood red. When I felt his power, I was shaken. His power towered over my own. But it wasn't tainted like a hollow, but it wasn't pure like a soul reaper. Every captain was perplexed by this. What do you mean, Captain Soifan? A soft voice said. What I mean, Captain Retsu, is that this hollow had hollow and soul reaper spiritual pressure, she replied. Aizen, the 5th Division's captain, questioned, could it have been one of the criminals from 100 years ago? Soifan responded, no, this one was in perfect sick of his power, perfectly controlled. The elderly Captain Yamamoto tapped his cane on the floor to silence the captains, saying, continue, Captain Soifan. No more questions till she's done. Yes, sir. Well, at first they were just looking around. Then I heard them. The older-looking one was disappointed that it was night time in the human world. Each captain appeared surprised. Then something that surprised me even more was when the little girl on his shoulder said, it is okay, big brother. Nighttime here, he's still prettier than nighttime at Hueco Mundo. They're hollows for sure. But don't act like it. Soifan took a deep breath. Soifan would never forget the look. After they spoke for a while, the little hollow said she wanted to go to the water. We followed them, but the blonde hollow noticed us. He told us to come out. That is when I radioed for backup. Then he appeared in front of us. With speed I've never seen before. Not in me or any other captain. Ever. Soifan gathered her thoughts, considering what to say next. The 3rd Division captain questioned her, something the matter, Captain Soifan? No, nothing. We talked for a bit when he found us. I did it to stall for time and to get information out of him. To my surprise, the little hollow looked like a little girl. No older than 8 human years old. And yet, she had a hollow mask fragment on her skull. The captain of the 5th Division, Aizen, his eyes widened. She acted like she was scared of soul reapers. I've never a hollow afraid of soul reapers before. Captain Aizen said, maybe they were trying to lure you in a false sense of security? Maybe, but moving one. The blonde hollow told me his name, saying, I have stopped being one of those mindless beasts for some time now. I was shocked. Then when it introduced himself. He said his name was Naruto Uzumaki when he was alive. Then this chilled me to the bone. He said he was once a Vasto Lord of Hueco Mundo. The 13th Division's captain asked, his face showing shock, a Vasto Lord? Was he lying? Kenpachi grinned, or flashed his super evil grin, and said, based on his power, I'd say he was stronger. Call it whatever you want. Yamamoto gave a nod. There was just one of them. Thank you, Captain Soifan. Any questions before we move on? I have just one. Did he say what he was? If he had 2 zanpakutos, then he must have been a Should Reaper at one point. Aizen inquired. He never said what he or the little girl was, but he said that they had evolved past the form of hollows. That they were something more than a mere hollow. His own words. Soifan responded. Aizen smiled his typical smile and said, I see, thank you. Yamamoto informed the other 3 captains, now then. The rest of you will tell us what happened. Every captain reported what transpired to the others. How they were removed after their vice captain was removed, until Soifan heard the story again. She fought the hollow last and was the last captain to see it. She then told them what had happened to her as well. Yamamoto questioned, Soifan, after you were defeated, what happened? He walked up to me when I was on the ground. I told him to finish it, as he was a monster. He He raised his blade and stabbed the ground in front of my face. Then I passed out. But before that he said, "Get your comrades to that Soul Society place." Saying that they would die without medical attention. Like he was concerned about them or something. I see. We will keep an eye out for this hollow. If it surfaces again, no less than 8 captains are to engage it. I want no mistakes this time. Dismissed. The captain in charge replied. Kazuki's store, Naruto's yell, "You did what?" rocked the shop's foundation. Kazuki had a lump on his head and was lying on the ground. "You heard me. I enrolled you in the human high school. I thought you'd like it. It'll help you make new friends and..." Bam! It was Naruto's foot that first appeared on Kazuki's face. "You should have asked us first," she said. Naruto palmed his face. Naruto paused to reflect, saying, "Oh man, I thought I was done with school when I died. Oh well." Kazuki reiterated, "There are a lot of pretty girls over at the high school. So, they wear uniforms. All right. Nell will need a uniform." After giving it some thought, Naruto raised an eyebrow and said, "Thank you, Kazuki, for getting us enrolled in high school. I apologize for the minor miscommunication that occurred earlier." As he lifted Kazuki and brushed him off, Naruto grinned and said, "So, when do we begin?" Naruto grinned. "Tomorrow. But I've got everything you require right here." After a little chuckle, Yoruichi clarified for Nell, who was perplexed. "Is high school enjoyable?" Nell inquired. "Oh, believe me." Kazuki held his fan in front of him and said, "It can be." He was absolutely correct. The following morning, while he was wearing his school uniform, Naruto was changing Nell into hers. Despite the fact that she still lacked today's human decorum, she was changing in the living room while Naruto looked away, acting like a gentleman. At first, she struggled, but Yoruichi showed her how, without changing into the stunning woman that she is. On the way to school, Naruto was thinking, how did Nell become an Arrancar? A perfect one at that. However, he was unable to find the answer, as Nell's memories had not returned, so an answer would have to wait. Given how they got to school, everyone was ogling them, with the girls eyeing him and the boys eyeing Neela, more specifically, eyeing her chest. Some were drooling, while others had nosebleeds. Naruto laughed to himself. "Hi there." Nell and Naruto both turned to look to their right. "Yeah, you with the spiky blonde hair with the green-haired babe." Naruto saw some men who appeared to be what's the word, human thugs or bullies in schoolyards. "Well, indeed. How may I assist you?" Nell remained silent as Naruto asked. "We dislike people who stand out with their hair color and style." The head thug said, "Change it." Ichigo and a few of his friends were a short distance away when they noticed this and were ready to step in. "Well, no, Nell's hair color is also natural, just like mine. It is foolish to try to alter who we are. Go harass someone who is unable to protect themselves. Like a child or a worm." Naruto laughed, and the children around him did too. "Why you? When I beat you up for that, I'll take your girl." If the thug wannabe and his goons had seen Naruto's face, they would have fled, but Naruto beat them all to the ground faster than anyone could have blinking. "All right. I hope this has taught you all something. First rule. I am the first. Second rule. Nell is attractive. Rule number 3. You're a fool," Naruto remarked before continuing. With a childlike tone, Nell said, "Bye-bye wired guys who got beat up by Naruto. Naruto, wait for me." She ran, causing her breast to bounce slightly, much to the delight of all the guys, before they were slapped by the closest female. "Hi, Ichigo." A tall, dark-skinned man told his friend with the spiky hair, "I think we've found your long-lost brother." "Yay, maybe." Although it was still a while before class started, Naruto followed a teacher who led them to their classroom. It was just a matter of luck that Naruto and Nell had the same classroom and classes, but they didn't care. "Why, you ask? This is why." "Heim. Why, Heim, I believe your chest has gotten bigger," a girl shouted as she began to caress Nell's chest. Nell blinked a few times, as if she didn't understand why Naruto was holding his nosebleed and she was being fondled on the breasts. "Hi, Chizuru. Orihime is not that." When the now Chizuru girl turned to look behind her, did she notice Tatsuki and Orihime? However, that isn't possible. My Heim had the largest breasts of anyone. In order to see Nell's face, she spun the girl around. Hey. Nalil 2 Oderschwenk is my name, but you can just call me Nell. Is that the way you welcome guests here? Unaware that she had just been molested, Nell inquired. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, too. The person you just met's best friend. Presented. You too, Naruto said, welcoming her. Orihime. Nell. After giving each other hugs, Orihime and Nell began to bounce in a circle. Nell remarked, I haven't seen you in ages. Orihime retorted, it's only been a day silly. No one was more shocked than Chizuru, but she was staring at the two's bouncing breasts touching each other when she passed out from a nosebleed. I had no idea that you two would be attending the same high school as us. Tatsuki turned to face Naruto. Neither did we. We enrolled yesterday, Naruto remarked sarcastically. When class started, it was, to put it mildly, boring. Nell kept asking questions until the end of time, which irritated the teacher, but the teacher was grateful that one of her new students was so eager to learn. Naruto and Nell were about to leave for lunch when Orihime intervened. Nell Naruto, what are you all having for lunch? Lunch? Does that resemble dinner in any way? Nell inquired, still acclimating to the human world. Yes, it's similar to dinner, but it's earlier, Orihime exclaimed joyfully. Whoa! This location is fantastic. Nell's eyes were full of stars. Naruto and Tatsuki were pulled along by Orihime and Nell as they said, let's go to the roof. Ichigo and his friends were already on the roof when Tatsuki yelled, hey, Ichigo. Ichigo turned to face the blonde child and said, hey, you're that guy that beat all those other guys today. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I've known this friend for as long as I can remember. 2 Oderschwenk, Nalil. Nell, to short. Hello. She gave a cheerful greeting. Today was our first transfer here. Naruto rubbed his head and said, it's difficult to get used to this place and everything, but we'll adjust eventually. Nell said to Orihime, so Orihime, what did you make for? Lunch. Well, I made ramen with pickle relish cheese, eggs and I even added pizza. Everybody had signs of despair. Lunch sounded disgusting to her. The eyes of Nell and Naruto were full of stars. Both of them exclaimed, wow, that sounds great. Everybody perspires. Especially after they consumed the bowl that Orihime handed them in a matter of seconds. Naruto exclaimed with delight, wow Orihime, you're cooking to kill for. Yay, Naruto's and my cooking can't compare, Nell exclaimed as she gave her new friend Orihime a hug. Orihime merely chuckled. Chizuru was incensed. And everyone but Naruto pondered. Is this the long-lost twin sister of Orihime? Orihime and Nell behaved as if they were sisters. Even more so when they both agreed with each other's points of view. Food as well as other things. Though he couldn't hold it against her, Naruto believed that Nell was addicted to Orihime's cooking. However, it was good to see Nell quickly becoming her friend. Oh, let the formal introductions be underway. Again, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and my cute friend over there hugging Orihime is Nalil 2 Oderschwenk. What's yours? Naruto responded. She turned to Chizuru and said, oh, my name is Tatsuki. I'm a friend of Orihime, and slayer of all cats in heat. The tall Mexican said in his typical voice, name's Chad. The orange top said, my name is Ichigo Kurosaki. You know, I get the feeling that we'll all be good friends. Naruto was beaming. For one reason or another, his smile made them all shiver. The most important thing was that he was correct. They will become close friends. If we were to believe Nell and Orihime. They went to Kazuki's place after school. Nell wasn't in fighting form, but Naruto didn't want to. If she was to protect them from the powerful Soul Reapers who will eventually come for them, she would require retraining. Naruto didn't care. She would be safe as long as he was present. However, he always prepared for the big, what if, scenario, so that's what he will do. Opening the door, Naruto said, hey, Fanman. You here? The child shouted, hey, can't you knock? Naruto said, no now, where is Fanman? I'm right here, Naruto. With a cry of, Kitty! Nell chased after Yoruichi and captured her. Naruto let out a sigh. Again, sorry, Yoruichi, change so we can train Nell. Yoruichi transforms into her attractive human form and says, fine fine. Nell continued to pet Yoruichi, though. Guess where Nell was rubbing his head? She was massaging the breast of Yoruichi. Yoruichi, in her sexy nude form, said, "Hi boys." As she petted the cat, Nell's expression was bewildered. Her next move was to prod Yoruichi's left breast. What's this? Using the blood-based rocket fuel from their noses, Naruto and Kazuki headbutted the roof. They both fainted. "Oh no, Naruto. Are you alright? Your nose is bleeding." Nell slapped Naruto roughly in an attempt to bring him back to strength. It wasn't functioning. An hour or so later, in the training area beneath the store, Nell was wearing her old Espada uniform, and while doing this light training, some of her memories came back. Primarily, however, how to fight. That's all. Naruto expressed gratitude to the god who answered his prayer. Kazuki said, "Say, Naruto, exactly how strong are you? The only way to truly know that is to fight me. But very few people have ever made me fight without holding back almost all of my power. But, I don't mind showing you 4 levels of my power. But I warn you, it could get overwhelming." Naruto glanced at him. Kazuki could see everything in his eyes. Kazuki grinned and said, "I see. But, no guts, no glory. Nell, Yoruichi. Get off the field. I'm going to release a great amount of power. You don't want to be moving at your speeds when I do." To get Nell back into fighting shape, Yoruichi and Nell had been sparring for more than an hour. Nell went to Kazuki's side after giving the first nod. She'd witnessed him using Shikai. However, none is higher. Yoruichi nodded, indicating that she should return as well. Naruto was in the air, a good distance away. "Now then, since I know you watched that fight with those Soul Reapers a while back, I know you've seen me use Kido and the Hollow's trademark Sero. Then you saw me draw my black Zanpakuto. Then you say me use what you Soul Reapers call Shikai." Naruto exhaled. Naruto gave them a direct look. Naruto pulled out his blade and said, "I'll show you a little more of my power now." Naruto lifted his blade and said, "Without my Zanpakuto, I'm using only about 4% of my power. With her, I'm using 10%. Naruto unlocked his Shikai and said, "Now. Devastate and despair. Forbidden Angel." The training ground was filled with black energy. With my Shikai, I'm using 20% of my power. Kazuki and Yoruichi started to ponder. They could be sure that old man Yamamoto would be completely defeated by Naruto at full power if this was only a fifth of his strength. No one could, in fact. Naruto reached up to the upper left part of his head and said, "And now. I'll only show you one more power-up, because any more would break through the barrier and bring the Soul Reapers on our heads. Additionally, wear a hollow mask in a style reminiscent of Visored. The mask resembled the skull of a fox. This is 45% of my power. In all of my 1,000 years of living in Hueco Mundo, no one, be it Hollow, Soul Reaper or otherwise, has ever seen past this point of my power. I never use this much because Nell fears it." Naruto removed his mask. He landed close to them after putting his sword away. Nell gave him a quick hug, weeping a little. Now, Kazuki and Yoruichi were terrified of Naruto. It loomed over everyone they knew, and that was less than half of his power. The only person who could claim that he could face that and believe what he was saying was old man Yamamoto. Naruto consoled Nell, saying, "I'm sorry, Nell. I hope you never have to see me wear that mask again." With a look that suggested it was a tale for another time, Naruto turned to Kazuki and Yoruichi. "That should be enough for today, Kazuki. Nell and I are going to Orihime for dinner." Supper. The sound of Orihime and dinner made Nell forget her melancholy. Nell and Naruto left Kazuki and Yoruichi to their thoughts, hoping that neither of them was so afraid of him that they didn't want to speak to him about anything other than business. "All right. What are your thoughts?" Kazuki inquired of Yoruichi. "I believe that was absolutely hot. You know me, Kazuki," she screamed. "I've always been attracted to strong men. I never went on a date with you because of this." "Oh, that's cold, Yoruichi," Kazuki said, huddled in a corner with ice and despair marks. Kazuki went into instant depressed mode. He shed anime tears. "Oh, how my soul is forever destroyed." With Nell and Naruto at Orihime's house, since Orihime had at least a few others in her life, Tatsuki smiled before she left for home. The night went on, and Nell was unconscious on the sofa. Orihime yawned, and Naruto was also tried. At that point, Naruto noticed a picture of a young man on the shelf. Orihime had prepared a very strange dinner, but to a normal person, she was a cooking goddess made flesh. Orihime. Who is that? Naruto gestured toward the image. Naruto noticed Orihime's immediate sadness and said, "I'm sorry, Orihime. If you don't want to talk about it, I understand." "No. I suppose it's time to discuss it." Naruto witnessed Orihime cry, which he believed to be a crime against nature. "My brother, Sora, and I were in a car accident a few years ago. Despite his severe injuries, he prioritized me over himself. Therefore, he carried me on his back." She started crying even harder. "We arrived at a nearby clinic, but they were unable to assist my brother. My brother needed something that they didn't have. By contrast, I was all right. However, he wasn't. He passed away moments before the ambulance arrived to help him." Orihime started to sob uncontrollably, but it stopped when Naruto and Nell, who had woken up during Orihime's story, gave her a back hug. "Orihime, don't worry. From now on, I'll be your brother," Naruto whispered in her left ear. Nell whispered in her right ear, "And I'll be your sister from now on." Orihime wept once more, but this time she was content because she had a family once more. Before going to bed, Naruto felt a few hollows in the area, but he knew that those Souls Reapers guys would take care of some low-level hollow. Despite the news broadcast about an explosion, Naruto paid no attention to it. The following morning, Naruto discussed the idea of merging the two rooms with the manager, who agreed as long as Naruto paid for it and paid him. He was just getting to know Ichigo and his friends that day at school. He already knew Orihime well as one person can know another in such a short period of time, but he had sensed Orihime's pain just by hearing her story. He and Nell assumed the role of siblings to her, and as good big brothers and sisters, they would protect her as best they could. However, today was enlightening for Naruto. He had sensed Ichigo's power, but he was unable to control it, just like him when he was younger and alive. What intrigued him more was that he had the power of a Soul Reaper Captain but it would take some time and difficult training if Ichigo ever became a Soul Reaper or Hollow before he could do that. He put it out of his mind for the time being. Naruto would have intervened that night when he sensed a Hollow attacking a Soul, but he could not do nothing because he also sensed a Soul Reaper there. "I apologize, girls." While Nell and Orihime were playing a card game that Orihime had invented, Naruto said, "I'll be back as soon as I can." He believed he heard Orihime refer to someone as Uno Jin. As Ichigo battles his initial Hollow, Naruto had just arrived to watch Rukia give Ichigo his Soul Reaper abilities. "All right. Interesting," he thought to himself. "You vile scum, you'll pay for harming my family," Ichigo addressed the Hollow menacingly. From Naruto's perspective, it is a weak no-name. "Experience my blade's fury." Ichigo cut off an arm. It roared in pain. Then he cut off a leg. Again it roared in pain. "Now die." Ichigo then killed it by cutting it from top to bottom. Ichigo, not bad. I don't think fate or anything like that exists. The world's wheels have been turned by this one moment. He glanced at Rukia, who had no name or other information, and said, "This one action by that Soul Reaper has brought about a transformation in this world. It remains to be seen if this is a positive or negative change. Ichigo, Orihime's gaze on you is visible to me. I will not allow either of you to repeat my life's mistake. Ichigo, you're going to alter the spirit world. I sense it," Naruto thought to himself as he watched Kazuki approach Rukia. "Anyway, Ichigo. In the end, I hope this works out for you. I wonder, was I supposed to be here too? Did she bring me here, or was I supposed to find Nell? Then I eventually get to meet you?" Before returning to his home, Naruto took one final look at Ichigo, who he sensed would influence the course of this world. As he woke up, Naruto yawned. Ichigo had a minor run.in with a low-level Hollow, but it was nothing the child couldn't handle. He now has his own Soul Reaper powers, which is good for him, but now he has a problema, another one to add to Naruto's list because he is now in the cleavage of Nell's chest. It's not a bad place to be, but he didn't want to die if she became enraged and decided to kill him, because it would hurt if she tried. "Well, Naruto, how come you're in my bed?" innocently, she inquired. "Well, Nell. Remember, this is my bed." Looking directly into her eyes, Naruto said, "Your bed is the nice fancy one in the other room. To avoid being noticed, wear something else. She took a quick look around. Oh, I apologize, she struck her head. Trying not to look at her again, he grinned and said, well, let's get up so we can get to class. All right, she happily said and then ran into Orihime's room. Orihime? For what purpose? Well, lunch, Nell shouted. Although blood relations are overrated, Naruto was happy that Orihime and Nell were as close as sisters despite Nell's continued childish behavior. He sighed, but he couldn't help but feel that he was going to have a terrible headache because he couldn't figure out what it was. Captain Commander's room, Soul Society. Captain Soifan's story was still remembered by Captain Commander Yamamoto. Uzumaki Naruto. He looked up and saw 12 pictures with a captain's cloak underneath each one. I remember you, he said. You took from me. My only pals, Naruto. Rewind, 800 years ago. Yamamoto was waiting for his friend, 2nd Division Captain Yan Shiwan, who was the final of the 13 captains, at a captain's meeting. One of the other captains remarked out loud, it isn't like Captain Shiwan to be late from a training exercise. Keep your worries to yourself, Captain Kuchiki. Another captain told him, he can handle anything that any hollow can throw at him. Captain Commander. A Soul Reaper rushed in like a crazy person. What brings you here, Captain Shiwan? Where are you? Yamato inquired. Mr. Captain Shiwan requires assistance. He is currently battling a hollow. It's too strong, we require assistance. How is it possible for one hollow to be so strong that a captain cannot defeat it? Another captain inquires. I'm not sure, but he needs assistance right now, Soul Reaper shouted. We will then respond. We head out right away. Cut to the actual USA Death Valley, the scene of the battle. A Soul Reaper was struck and fell quite a distance away. From the hollow a rough sounding voice said, come now, is that all you got? The hollow resembled a fox but was humanoid. It resembled the skeleton of a fox and had 9 tails. His head was a fox's skull, with the jaw covering the lower portion of his face and the top half serving as a helmet. Soul Reapers were everywhere in the desert. There was only one standing. Captain Yan Shiwan was his name. He addressed the hollow, saying, I've underestimated you monster, but no more. Old doors appeared behind the captain. It asked the captain, what's this, did you call for backup? 12 more captains and 12 more vice captains soon arrived, all set to battle. Captain Shiwan exclaimed with relief, you've come. This guy is way too strong for me alone. Captain Yan, my old friend, is this hollow really that strong? Replied Yamamoto. He told them, if it wasn't, I wouldn't need your help. Don't talk about me as if I'm not here. I came looking for a fight, but sadly I find them and no challenge. The hollow sighed. I guess I'll just go. And find some rat to kill. They do tend to put up a fight when their life hangs in the balance. They manage to so many things. The hollow made a strange sound. Another captain shouted at him, do not count on it hollow. He declared, we will kill you. The 4th Division's captain addressed her, saying, please take the wounded back to the Soul Society, 3rd seat Retsu. Yes sir. She was able to remove all of the injured from the hollow that had nearly killed them. Don't worry about me trying to kill those weaklings. Only you 13 are worth any effort to kill, he said to them. One of the vice captains charged, saying, now, get ready to die, hollow. No. Wait you fool, shouted the captain of the 2 nanoseconds division. All the hollow could say before the Soul Reaper was instantly killed was, goodbye. His fox like claws gleamed in the sunlight as he asked, now, who dies next? The 3rd captain told the others, we take him together. No heroics. Just one dead hollow. All right, let's eliminate this. This is much more appropriate for our fight, the hollow said, leaping into the air. Soul Reapers, come at me. And observe how many of your friends have met their demise. The hollow, fox like creature mocked them. Play the soundtrack to the Bleach movie 2, Treachery. The hollow was surrounded by all 13 captains and now 12 vice captains, with the vice captains of the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th divisions being the first to charge. The 3rd used his Zanpakuto in Shikai form to try to kill the hollow, but the fox like hollow just sliced off his head. The 7th, using only his Zanpakuto in its sealed form, came from above, but the fox Hollow was bored of his attack. When the Hollow brought down his clawed hand, he was killed. The fifth came from behind the Hollow, and she brought down her Zanpakuto, but it dodged her attack. It got behind her, and she turned her head slowly in fear before being sliced in 5 pieces. The 2nd, 8th, 10th, and 13th were the next vice captains. First came the 8th, who attempted to stab the Hollow's heart with his Shikai but failed. The Hollow grabbed it and thrust his hand into his heart, killing him instantly. The 13th then attempted to stab the neck from above, but the Hollow looked at him and vaporized him with a Sero from its mouth. The 10th then appeared directly in front of him, slicing him into small pieces. The second Flash stepped directly in front of the Hollow, hopping to kill the monster, but before the blade could reach it, it was caught by one of the Hollow's fox like tails. The gory mess was then spread out on the ground. The final 4 vice captains, the 1st, 4th, 9th, and 11th, charged in next. Even with its lower mask on, you could tell that the Hollow was grinning, with the 11th vice captain above him, the 9th below, the 4th behind, and the 1st in front. Hump. Stupid people. Bravo, Nova. The Hollow was on the vice captain of the 1st division in a heartbeat when red energy erupted all around it and spread out, killing everyone except him. The vice captain was then killed by his claw. Next, the Hollow turned to the captains who were no longer vice captains. To attack the Hollow that killed their vice captains, everyone except the captain commander released their Shikai. The captains of the 3rd, 4th, 7th, and 10th divisions attacked first, and 4 captains surrounded the Hollow. The captain of the 3rd division, who had a plain-looking katana Shikai, was the first to arrive at the Hollow. However, it became inflamed before attacking the Hollow, which simply inserted 2 tails into him before spreading him apart, but not before the captain drew blood from the tail. Nevertheless, he was killed. The 7th division's captain was the next to die. He had a Chinese sword, similar to a Shikai, which was thick but not strong enough. The Hollow broke it and pierced his neck with his claws. The 10th division's captain came next, and his Shikai was a broad sword with a hollow cut that kicked him in the head, crushing it as blood and brain matter poured from the shattered skull. The captain of the 4th division then attempted to strike from behind with his short sword, but the Hollow's armor was too strong for it, and it broke. The shock was brief, though, as the Hollow turned around and killed the man before he could blink. After a minute or so, the Hollow watched as the 4 captains he had just killed fell to the ground. Now come on. Of course, it was more difficult to kill them than the other weaklings. But hurry up. Give me a worthwhile activity to kill time. The Hollow made fun of it. Take us on, Hollow scum. Then, the 5th, 9th, 11th, and 12th division's captains were among the 4 additional captains who leapt at the Fox Hollow. The captain of the 5th division was carrying a long 2-handed Shikai style mace. He attempted to bring it down on the Hollow, but the Hollow grabbed it, crushed it, and pulled him in with the long pole. His head was crushed when it was in the Hollow's hand. He attempted to cut off at least a tail with the 12th division captain's battle axe Shikai, but it retaliated and pierced his skull, so he was unable to do so. The captain of the 9th division brought down the Hollow with his Shikai, a Kanabo steel club, and the Hollow took the full blunt of the blow without trying to move or block, then broke. The Hollow charged him and cut him down with his clawed hand, killing the man before he reached the ground. The captain of the 11th division was swinging a Zabuza like blade like a crazy person, and the Hollow kept avoiding the attacks until the captain missed high, at which point the Hollow broke the blade and severed the captain's head with one of his tails. Ha 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 ha. Is this your only option? I've put up a stronger fight than you have against rats. Is this all the power you have? The Hollow mocked once more. Next up were the 2nd, 5th, 6th, and 13th. The captain of the 2nd division told the Hollow, "This is your end, Hollow. Give Soul Reaper a try." He received the bring gesture from the Hollow. The 13th division captain, whose Shikai was just a large, long, curved blade, was the first to attack the Hollow, which appeared bored with the battle. The Hollow cut through the blade and into the captain, causing his wounds to bleed out. The captain did not give up and charged again with his broken blade, but the Hollow stopped him and then cut him down again across the chest, causing blood to squirt out of him and come out of his mouth. Dead. Leave. Lash the whip. The captain of the 5th division attacked with his whip, but the Hollow only grabbed it and dragged the captain in. The captain watched in horror as the hollow did so, and then he was sliced to pieces with a single slash to the back. The hollow clung to the whip and relied on the captain of the 6th Division, who attacked the hollow with what appeared to be Sakura pedalsa, although the pedals were miniature bladesa because the hollow's armor was too heavy, and he was also slain. Ha! The hollow glanced over his shoulder, ducked just before it struck his neck, and then smashed the sword. He turned around and killed the captain, but he is still alive. You and everyone who follows you are idiots. There has never been a stronger hollow than me. I shouldn't be the target of someone as weak as you pointing their knives. The captain of the 2nd Division was then killed, but he survived. End treachery. Soundtrack for Bleach Movie 2. He howls and rages as you listen to the Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 soundtrack. With a smile, the hollow said, I enjoy my power now. So strong. Okay, so infinite. Well? The hollow looked to see a very angry looking Captain Commander. Oh? You've arrived now? One would think that you would have left your comrades to their fate since you allowed them to perish at my hands, the hollow informed him. Your life will be the price you pay for those captains' deaths. The old man's cane turned into a katana sword as the Captain Commander's spiritual pressure increased. Reduce all creation to ash. The blade of the elderly man began to flare up. Ryujin Jaka. The sword had grown into a huge, flaming thing. All right, now. This is something. Bring it, the hollow said, with a hint of amusement. Yamamoto launches a fierce fire attack. Burn. I have more power than that little heating pad you call a Zanpakuto, the hollow said, blocking most of the damage with its mass amount of spirit energy and tails. Sero. The hollow fired a Sero from one of its tails. But Yamamoto just dodged it. Not bad. To check the size, try this on. Sero. Every one of the 9 hollows fried a Sero. After a minute of waiting for the smoke to clear, the hollow was certain that the Soul Reaper was dead, but when he was greeted, he was a wounded old man, not a dead one. Yamamoto kept dodging, but each tail fired like a machine gun, and when the hollow managed to hit him with one tail, the other animals quickly followed. I'm taken aback. You made it through. The hollow was in awe. This is where it ends, hollow. I'll take you with me if I die. Captain Commander Yamamoto started to build up a massive amount of spirit energy. Goodbye. Hollow. Hellfire. I'll accompany you, you said, as fire pillars erupted on all sides of the desert. We will burn in this hell of fire. Yamamoto shouted into the void. Nice try. The fire came for them both, but this is not where my life will end. The hollow began to build up a massive amount of spiritual pressure. The fire closed in on them. I will not die yet, he grinned and said, Ultima Sero. Not until I keep my word. The last 2 captains suffered severe damage as a huge wave of a Sero blast erupted from the hollow, extinguishing the flames. The final soundtrack to Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 2. He howls and rages. The hollow landed next to their heads, and both Captain Commander Yamamoto and the captain of the 2nd Division were bleeding and almost dead, with Captain Shiwan more so than Yamamoto. Well, it was fun. I'll probably leave you 2 unharmed. Just to make sure you Soul Reapers are aware that you are lower on the food chain than someone else. And is prepared to demonstrate it. The hollow began to move toward a portal he had created. Please don't ignore me. Yan Shiwan, the captain of the 2nd Division, charged at the hollow without thinking. No, Yan. Grabbing him by the neck, the hollow said, I gave you a chance. To survive. You spit it back in my face, too. I despise your race because of people like you. With his other hand, he sliced Yan Shiwan, the captain of the 2nd Division, in half vertically and turned to face Yamamoto. I will not spare you twice, he said. I need your name in return. If not, I'll murder you and return to the location where you came from, murdering everyone. Consider it, the hollow threateningly said. After giving it some thought, Yamamoto realized that the Soul Society would be in disarray if he died because this hollow had beaten him and killed the other captains and vice-captains. My name. And the man you just killed was my friend 2nd Division Captain Yan Shiwan, he said, referring to him as Captain Commander Genria Sai Shigekuni Yamamoto. I understand. I'll tell you my name, though. Naruto Uzumaki is who I am. Hawako Mundo's Majesty Vasto Lord. Another name for me is the White Fox. I see now that having all this power is pointless, Naruto said, gesturing to his white fox skeleton. Like body. As you can clearly see why. I have to find a purpose for using it. Okay, Yamamoto. Good. Bye for now. However, I have a feeling that we will cross paths eventually. When we next meet, get stronger. Naruto entered the portal and vanished from view. Flashback at the end. 800 years. Naruto. And you appear now. And with a little girl no less. Yamamoto signed. He had never forgiven himself for that day. It was heartbreaking to see the families of the men that died that day grieve, when he told each family one by one. But why? Naruto, why did you spear these captains? What was the purpose? He was thinking about this. With Naruto, Naruto was having a good day, but he always had a good day when he was around people like them. He was talking about Chizuru molesting Nell right now, and he thought it was kind of funny because she was an open lesbian who always did it, no matter how painful it was. He sighed, remembering his bloodthirsty side, the side he left behind to regret what he did, and all the lives he senselessly took, but that was in the past. He looked around to find his rumored missing twin brother, who some said behaved like him. Ichigo entered around midday, looking a little worn out. Hi, Ichigo. Why are you so late? Naruto inquired. Hey Ichigo, I've heard that a truck struck your house. Is it accurate? A friend of his inquired. Yes, it was. We spent the entire morning cleaning it up, Ichigo remarked, a little irritated. Need assistance? It was Chad, or at least that's what his friends call him, a dark, tanned man with a tail said. Ichigo reassured. No, we got it. Hey Ichigo, are you sure? Naruto questioned. I mean, 4 people couldn't have cleared something like that so quickly. You're Ichigo, correct? When everyone looked up, they saw a girl with short dark hair and nothing particularly noteworthy about Hera. Even her height would be considered normal in this place. Rukia is my name. From now on, I'll be sitting next to you, she declared. Haha. The initial response to her was, you're that crazy. Well, Ichigo, do you know her? A friend of his inquired. Huh, Rukia. That name sounds familiar, Naruto said out loud after giving it careful thought. Does it? Nell inquired. Yay, it does. Naruto thought deeply, but wasn't really. He was just playing a practical joke on Ichigo. The child needed to relax, so what better way to do it than to play a small practical joke? Hey now. She's the girl you knocked up last week, right? I remember now. After a long time, Naruto's prankster side returned, and he asked abruptly. Everyone else, with the exception of Rukia, who appeared perplexed, stared in shock as Ichigo, who had been drinking at the time of the question, spat it out and looked horrified at Naruto. What? Innocently, he inquired. Are you insane? Ichigo yelled or inquired at Naruto. What? It was only a question. Naruto shrugged, laughing inwardly at Ichigo's response and the issues that would now arise. It's time. As Chizuru failed to say, hi, to Orihime, Naruto thought to himself, here we go again. He knew that his role as a big brother was to protect Orihime, but Tatsuki would handle that small matter for him at the moment, so there was no need to interfere. Before you could say it, the pervy sage Tatsuki knocked Chizuru off her feet and away from Orihime in order to say, hi, to her in her own way. Chizuru is still the same as always. Tatsuki addressed the perverted girl, saying, here it is winter and you're still in heat. Chizuru held her nose and said, Tatsuki, you are preventing me from gaining Orihime's love once more. Have you ever made an attempt to speak with her first, Chizuru? While reading an unidentified orange book, Naruto concluded, before attempting to unbutton her shirt. Chizuru then gave it some thought. Hey Orihime, how are you today? She asked in a very courteous manner, probably taking Naruto's counsel to heart. You're so dumb. Naruto heard Tatsuki shout. What? Without raising his gaze, he inquired. OMG. You have no idea what you've done. Do you? Tatsuki was going to kill him with a beating. I have consistently prevented Chizuru from greeting Orihime or any other attractive young woman in our class in her own unique manner. In addition to keeping her safe from harm during those greetings, he informed her, also encouraging friendship between Chizuru, Orihime, and even Nell. Tatsuki paused, gave it some thought, and then stared at Naruto. Blankly. His reasoning made it impossible for her to harm him, so she could only stare at him. Hey. What happened to Ichigo? Orihime exclaimed. One of the other guys said, "Hey, that new girl is gone too." To obtain a room, perhaps? Perhaps. It was surprising to Naruto that a hollow had appeared, but he could feel it die. Ichigo must have done it, but that was not his concern. If he even raised his blade outside of that cool training facility Kazuki had, those Soul Reaper guys would get irritated. Well, he would be because they would come and try to kill him. A hollow would avoid a place where someone as powerful as him had been just days ago, for mouths. Orihime said in a worried tone, "I hope he's okay. He must be doing well. Ichigo won't be exhausted by that small thing alone," Naruto declared out loud. "Naruto, what are you reading?" Chad inquired of the blonde. "I could show you the big guy, but you might not comprehend this kind of art," Naruto remarked cryptically. He looked up from his thoughts as the day went on and Naruto and Nell were walking with Orihime to her house. She had bought food for tonight, and Naruto figured that since Orihime did all the cooking, it was the least he could do. He was glad to help her, and Tatsuki was appreciative of his assistance. Orihime. Nell. A car was going to hit Orihime and Nell while they were rambling aimlessly. Damn this body. Naruto was about to assist them, despite having a body as fragile as a typical human body, when he noticed a hollow pull Orihime away. Since Nell was holding Orihime, she was also pulled away. Why would a hollow save a human? Naruto wondered. "Hey Nell, Orihime." Naruto observed Ichigo approaching Orihime and Nell with the new girl Rukia. "Are you two okay?" did he ask. "Yes." Orihime assured them, "I'm all right." "Me too." Nell uttered those words. Naruto approached Nell and remarked, "You girls should be more careful." "Well?" Rukia examined the wound on Orihime's leg. "Hey, are you sure you're okay? You were struck by a car," Ichigo repeated to her. "Yeah. I'm all right. I have to leave," she hurried away. "Orihime, please wait for us," Nell shouted as he ran after her. Ichigo told him, "Naruto, you should take better care of her." "Oh. Why are you so concerned? Are you infatuated with Orihime?" With cunning, he inquired. "What? No, what gives you that impression?" Embarrassed, Ichigo inquired. In spite of his discomfort, Naruto grinned evilly and said, "Oh Ichigo, you're a bad liar. Anyway, I should go. Keep that eye on that soulmate of yours in the black dress Ichigo. You hear? Surely you wouldn't want her to resurrect your body?" Naruto dismissed them with a wave. By little girl in the black dress, what did he mean? Ichigo inquired. Rukia simply gave a shrug. Later that evening, Nell, Tatsuki, Orihime, and Naruto were enjoying a pleasant dinner at Orihime's house. But Naruto was more preoccupied with the nearby hollow, which was the same hollow that had saved Orihime. Naruto continued to wonder why it had done so, since his hollow side had been gone for a while, so he had lost his hollow instincts, which was the only explanation for his thoughts. Feeling the hollow close by, Naruto kicked the table, causing Tatsuki and Orihime to flee from an unexpected hand. Orihime and Tatsuki both stared at Naruto in disbelief before noticing the dent in the floor. Naruto gave Nell a nod in return. "Girls, come on and talk." She pulled Tatsuki and Orihime into Naruto's and her apartment. Even in the body he now has, Orihime and Tatsuki are nearby, and he cannot allow anyone or anything to hurt them. Naruto stared at the hollow, which was rather large with a tail. He could sense its meager spiritual energy and nearly laughed. This one must have been created less than a week ago. "Since you're a new hollow, I'll give you one chance. Get out now and don't return. Then I'll let you live," Naruto said. "You dare give me an order?" The hollow raised its arm in an attempt to hit the person in front of it. However, Naruto used his own hand to stop it. "You're no match for me, young hollow, even with this weak body." Naruto gazed into the hollow's icy yellow eyes and said, "I have lived a lot longer than you will ever live. I'm unbeatable," the hollow screamed, and Naruto gave it a gentle backhand after it launched another attack. "Are you okay, Naruto?" Hearing the sounds coming from the other room, Orihime hurried in. Naruto's eyes grew wide. "Come back, Orihime." Naruto was hit by the hollow's tail and was sent through the window in the wall to the outside. Naruto sat up brushing himself off. "Man, that hurt." Naruto thought to himself, "Stupid human body." Then he saw Rukia and Ichigo staring at him. "What? Does my face have something on it? He questioned them. Why don't you see me? Ichigo questioned in disbelief. I can carrot top, of course. Just before he leapt up to see Orihime in the hollow's hands, Naruto exclaimed, Hey! I even gave the hint that I knew who you two were. A huge error. Should have taken out the trash sooner. Naruto looked at an astonished Ichigo and an even more shocked Rukia. What are you waiting for, Carrot Top? He said, jumping and hitting the hollow on the top of his head, forcing it to drop Orihime. Naruto then grabbed the tail and threw it outside. Go get him, Naruto said, gesturing outside. Ichigo had a few tick marks. Don't talk to me as if I'm a dog. Naruto said, a little irritated, just go and kill that hollow already. Ichigo hesitated, I can't. The hollow rose again, but Naruto's hand knocked it down. Why not? It's merely a hollow. Naruto was perplexed. You can manage something this week. Because Sora is that, Ichigo shouted. The elder brother of Orihime. He's just a hollow version of himself. If you don't kill him right away, he will kill Orihime. You were a baster. Naruto's fist knocked down the hollow once more, so, he is now a hollow. It's simple. Man up, Carrot Top. If you don't, the hollow will kill you, Rukia, Tatsuki, and Orihime. Ichigo was reprimanded by Naruto. Hold on, how about you? Do you not fear that he will kill you? Ichigo inquired. According to Naruto, bitch can try. The hollow took another blow. I'm going to kill. Look, Ichigo, he paused to be Orihime's brother the instant he attempted to murder her. Now he is a hollow. Naruto told him, now get to work. You have to put down this hollow to protect the people you care about. Naruto looked irritated at the hollow and said, look, if you want, I can explain myself to you tomorrow after school. I'm tired of hitting him. Kill that fucking hollow. Naruto gestured toward the hollow that was rising once more. Ichigo must have realized something now because he was furious because he prevented the hollow from biting Orihime. Pay close attention, Captain Overbite. Why are big brothers born first, do you know? It's so they can protect their little brothers and sisters, he asked, quite irate, pushing the hollow away. Ichigo responded on his behalf. What are you aware of? You have no knowledge. Ichigo was struck by the hollow's tail. Orihime was my life. It's time for her to return the favor. The hollow went for Orihime, but Naruto blocked its path as it glanced at Orihime, who was perplexed as to who Naruto was speaking to. I feel sorry for you, hollow. Naruto's back hand cracked slightly, and its mask said, going near her is a bad move. To see you like this, if you were once Orihime's older brother, Sora. Naruto felt someone to his right and said, oomph. You've fallen so far. After being tackled, Naruto was launched at a few good blocks away. Before he was on top of her, Naruto rolled with his attacker a couple of times. Alright, Yoruichi spilled. I don't mind where we are right now, but why did you try to jump me? You could have at least tried when I was close to a bed, but I don't mind at all. Playfully, Naruto said, straddling her legs and using his to pin her arms down. Well, Ichigo needs to train a bit, Yoruichi said with a smile of his own. It's good for him to fight that low-level hollow, she said, adding, and put on the brakes handsome. We've only known one another for a short while, she returned his smile. So, he said with a sly smile. I've witnessed relationships begin considerably earlier than just getting to know someone, he said, leaning in close. Sorry stud, not here on the street. He said casually, right, got to see if Wonder Boy has done the deed yet. Naruto helped her up, saying, you make it sound dirty. Well, it sure as hell isn't clean. On the roof of the building across from Ichigo, Naruto and Yoruichi were both on the roof. Ichigo's sword was in the hands of the hollow, Sora, who was about to kill himself with it. His mask was gone. And Orihime, who was dead with the chain still fastened to her chest. Look after her. Please, and I'm grateful, Sora said, piercing his own neck. Huh, Naruto pondered. What is it? Yoruichi inquired. I had a brief moment of enjoyment when I realized that I was a hollow and that all I wanted to do was kill everything I saw. And in that regard, I thought all hollows were the same. However, this hollow now used his own willpower to fight and kill, defying his instincts. I believed hollows couldn't do that. Naruto expressed his opinion. Perhaps. However, this hollow is only a few days old. Perhaps that's the distinction? Yoruichi addressed him. Perhaps. In any case, I take it that you haven't shown yourself to Wonder Dog Boy yet? He questioned the feline. No, only when he's prepared for a fight that he's been thrown into. Later, Foxy. She took a quick step back. Well, at least Orihime is safe. Naruto jumped down to Ichigo and Rukia, grabbing their attention with the words, I so need to learn that. You. Where on earth were you? Ichigo shouted. Very busy. In addition, you were more in need of this fight than I was. Naruto addressed the two people in front of him, saying, I have a lot more fighting experience than either of you. All right, let's spill. Who are you? Who are you? Ichigo pointed at Naruto with his blade. Nell thumbs up as Naruto looked up, saying, sorry, Wonder Boy. Not now, and not here. After school tomorrow. Are you okay? Indeed, of course, whatever. Later, Rukia and Ichigo departed to return home. Naruto entered the room through a large opening in the wall. Dude. This could cost me a lot of money, Naruto thought to himself. Well, good thing I still have my clones. Naruto used his spirit energy to create some clones, which were more like ghosts than his previous shadow clones but could still hit you. However, he only used them for this kind of thing now because he had no other use for them given his power. It was a fairly quiet night until he woke up in the morning and found Nell on top of him once more. He grew accustomed to it, since she wasn't going to stop this little morning ritual. Naruto put Orihime and Tatsuki to bed, and Nell followed him. At least give them a memory that doesn't make the person look foolish to others. At school, Naruto had to hold back his laughter when Orihime told the other kids that a sumo wrestler had destroyed her wall. This is another reason he detested Soul Reaper Protocol. After all, no one would believe Orihime anyhow. They would all just assume it was one of her crazy dreams or something. He scowled as he noticed another hollow nearby. Chad had brought a strange talking parrot for lunch. Hollows are never this active on their own. That bird, Chad, is awesome. Where did you purchase it? Naruto sensed that a human soul was inside the talking bird, and he guessed how, but he was more irritated than anything else. The group of friends surrounded the bird. Rukia and Ichigo discovered him and Nell on the roof after school. Okay, let's spill. Who are you? Ichigo folded his arms across his torso. Naruto was struck by the boy's audacity. Excellent. Be kind and lock the door, Nell. I would prefer that no one overhear our brief conversation. Naruto turned to face Ichigo and Rukia. Nell grinned, locked the door, and said joyfully, all done. That's right. Go ahead and ask. Naruto grinned and said, I'd rather tell you what you want to know than tell you everything. All right. A Soul Reaper, are you? Rukia began. No, are you? She asked, raising an eyebrow. A hollow? She asked, a little alarmed. No, are you a person? She repeated her question. No, all right, Naruto, tell me about yourself. Soul Reaper or hollow if you're not human. What else is there? With impatience, Ichigo inquired. Now that is the query you must pose. When I say that I am not human, Soul Reaper, or hollow, I mean it. I am something else. I am Masood Rerda, and I am the only one. Or, the Forsaken. In English. As I mentioned. I'm not typical. Do you have any more inquiries? Each of them had a foolish expression on their faces as Naruto glanced at them. What is a Forsaken? Rukia questioned the blonde. The Forsaken. The title and name are clever. It occurred to me approximately 400 years ago. Or was it 500? I don't know anymore. Naruto appeared to be reflecting. You're 400 years old. Ichigo gestured. No. B. But you said that. I am aware of what I said. However, I never claimed to be 400 years old. Naruto gave Ichigo a slightly irritated look. All right. What is your age? Ichigo then posed his next query. I am a little older than 1,000 years. Well, I passed away a little more than 1,000 years ago, Naruto replied. Nell and Ichigo both gawked. She was only aware that he was more than 200 years old, but he never disclosed his age to her. Rukia had a completely different thought. Does this person have much more strength because, as far as she knew, the Captain Commander has held his position for roughly a millennium? How powerful are you? Rukia was reluctant to inquire. At this time, I am unable to measure that. Throughout my entire life, afterlife, I haven't even lost to anyone I've faced. However, I once defeated 13 men who I now know were captains at the time, and I was just a Vasto Lord Hollow. However, that is a different matter. You're a phony, Ichigo and Rukia both shouted. No, my name is the Forsaken. Not a void. A long time ago, I stopped being a hollow. Actually, about 800 years ago. Neither is Nell a hollow. She's different too, Naruto remarked in a tone that was extremely risky. What brings you here? I hope not to cause trouble. Ichigo didn't expect this new friend to confront him and engage in a death-defying battle. No, Nell and I visited this place about a month ago to observe the human world. Hueco Mundo is incredibly boring. Hueco what? Naruto recounted his brief encounter with the Soul Reapers, omitting the moment he discovered Kazuki and the Black Cat. Hueco Mundo, the home of the Hollows. Anyway, when we came here a small team of Soul Reapers found us. Now Rukia was afraid. More so than the first time she met her older brother. Given that he had vanquished 4 elite captains, he viewed them as inconsequential. It had never been done before. Her older brother is one of them. Naruto put his hand in his pockets and asked, "Now, is our little game of 20 questions over? Or do you still need more answers?" Okay. Ichigo was utterly bewildered. However, the one lesson he took away from all of this was that Naruto wasn't here to stir things up. Rukia was considering this. A hollow that vanquished 4 captain-class Soul Reapers was unheard of by her. That is, until now. She was obviously relieved that this individual was not an enemy. However, when she returns to the Soul Society, she will still have to report it. That had to be done. Nell and Naruto walked home. He was awaited by Orihime. She returned his smile with a smile of her own. Like any family, they walked with joy. The fact that she did not recall her brother as a hollow made Naruto grateful. However, given the condition of this location right now, not to mention his own impact from being close to her, it remains to be seen if this change will be for the better or worse. Nell's proximity to her also plays a role. Stopping it was now too late. Orihime will acquire abilities that most Soul Reapers do not. To the best of his knowledge, he only served to enhance and bring out what was already present. However, he was unable to consider that at this time. He needed to go over to Fanman. He and Nell so that Nell can resume his training. She was nearly at her peak strength, but Yoruichi assisted her there because 100 years of not fighting would make one sluggish and boring. With her assistance, Nell was becoming faster every day. This was to protect her from any amusing actions by the Soul Reapers while he was away. He watched from a distance as they sparred. He was aware of the hollow, but he ignored it. It would be handled by a Wonder Boy. At the moment, he was more concerned about Nell. "Hey, Naruto. Yay, Fanman?" Kazuki questioned, "Aren't you going to get back into fighting shape?" "Don't need to. There has been only one opponent that can even harm me, at full power, but that was 800 some years ago. I'm not sure if he is alive now, but I'm 10 times stronger than I was then. He may have gotten stronger since then, but he could very well be dead." Naruto was perusing his small orange book. He inquired, "Did you know his name?" Naruto never looked up from his book, but he did say, he said his name was Captain Commander Genria Sai Shigekuni Yamamoto. Whatever the Captain Commander part was. Kazuki nearly threw up his beverage. "You fought Captain Commander Yamamoto." His expression was one of complete shock. He continued to look down. Him and 12 other captains that were with him at the time. "How many captains did you fight?" Naruto closed his book and sighed, saying, 13 at once and 13. Vice captains I think they called themselves. Naruto remarked with a hint of sadness. "I still remember the look on their faces when I killed them." He pushed Kazuki's raised eyebrow away. "You killed them?" "Yes. I was still a bloodthirsty hollow back then. I had just fought 19 other high-level noble Vasto Lords to gain their power to become a Majesty Vasto Lord." He exhaled. Yoruichi and Nell paused their brief argument to hear his tale. "After I killed the other noble Vasto Lords, I absorbed their power and became the first Majesty Vasto Lord in the history of Hueco Mundo." He began his brief narrative. Yoruichi questioned the blonde, "How does one become a Majesty Vasto Lord, Naruto?" "Well, that part is easy. When one becomes a noble Vasto Lord, they can feel other nobles all around Hueco Mundo. They know where you are, and you know where they are. But no noble Vasto Lord hunts down the others. They wait. Naruto clarified. Why? Inquired Kazuki. Because one must take 19 noble Vasto Lords' power at once. Not one by one. Naruto began. We wait until there are 19 other nobles. Then we meet at the point closest place that is nearest to all of us. Then have a free-for-all death match. Winner becomes the Majesty Vasto Lord. And he, or she, becomes king, or queen, of all hollows in Hueco Mundo. What about the time when you fought Captain Commander Yamamoto? Kazuki inquired. I had just won the fight. My power grew to unimaginable heights. I could feel all lower hollows in all places. I could feel their power and their rank. I could even feel soul reapers in the human world. 800 years ago, when I was the new Majesty Vasto Lord, I went to the human world to test my power. I was a bloodthirsty monster then. Still a hollow. I found a small squad of soul reapers in the human world. I found them and attacked them. After some time other captains came, and vice captains. The fight. He remembered the fight very well. Didn't last long. He described the outcome, and how Yamamoto was the only one killed. Yoruichi questioned him. You killed Yan Shiwan? Yes, I did. Based on what Yamamoto said that his name was. Yoruichi gave him a hard punch to the face as soon as he said that. In pain, she shook her hand. In a Gigai body, she felt as though she had just punched a solid wall. Ow! What was that for? Yoruichi simply turned to leave. Naruto only glanced at Yoruichi's nose. Holding back. Even though there was no bleeding, the pain was excruciating. Kazuki told him, Naruto. Her name is Yoruichi Shiwan. Naruto's eyebrow went up. Naruto started to move, but Kazuki stopped him, saying, Damn. I had a feeling that my bloody past would catch up to me. I should talk to her. Naruto nodded in response to Kazuki's advice. I wouldn't advise that. Let her cool off, Naruto. She's not the best one to approach when angry like this. Nell nodded and said, Nell, let's go home. I'm saddened by the development. They both went home by Sonito. Kazuki gave Yoruichi a look. I suppose you don't find out that a friend killed a member of your family very often. It made him feel bad for Naruto. He was still a bloodthirsty monster, and it was bad that he had hurt someone. He felt a void for the lives he had taken after he regained his humanity. He knew he would have to make amends for his transgressions eventually. Because he spilled blood. He took lives. He let out a sigh. He would need to beg for pardon. He was hoping Yoruichi would grant it. Hey, Naruto. Nell. When Naruto looked up, he saw Tatsuki and Orihime. It would seem as though they're connected at the hip. He waved, Hey Orihime, Tatsuki. Nell exclaimed, Hi, she's acting like a child at the moment, still adorable, though. Tatsuki said, Where ya been, Naruto? We've been waiting for you. Naruto held out bags of food and said, Yay, but he got stuff for dinner. To get there, they strolled and conversed. Easy, everyday conversation. The trip to Orihime's apartment didn't take long. Naruto had a smile on his face. A genuine smile that didn't involve a woman's antimania, something he hadn't done in a long time. Orihime was the main focus of his gaze. He nearly felt bad about meeting her. He had transformed her life simply by being in her presence. He had given her abilities that would endanger her. Additionally, he might not support her at all times. Then it dawned on him. Naruto entered his room and said, I'll be back, girls. Wait for me, will you? I need to get something. Okay. The girls exchanged glances. Perplexed, however, they shrugged. Naruto took a small box from his room. There was something crystal. Like inside, it nearly resembled a tear. It was clear water blue and shiny. Grinning, he returned it to the little box and returned to the girls. He glanced at Orihime and grinned. Naruto held out a small box and said, Orihime, I have a gift for you. He gave her the crystal. Like tear. Wow. Orihime and Tatsuki both exclaimed as they gazed at it. He placed it around her neck and said, This was my mother's and I want you to have it. This is called the Majesty's Tear. It's sorta like a family heirloom. He laughed. The beauty of it astounded Orihime, who said, I can't accept this. He gave her a quick embrace from behind and said, "Yes, you can. I'm giving it to you." Besides, he ruffled her hair like a big brother would a younger sister, saying, "It looks better on you than on me." His gaze expanded. Just outside the window, he sensed a powerful person, roughly equal to Nell's. He glanced at Orihime and Tatsuki. Both appeared to be having trouble breathing. If only until he used his own pressure to cancel the spiral pressure. "You girls stay here and do some girl talk. I forgot something in my apartment. I'll be right back." He grinned and stood up. Both Tatsuki and Orihime gazed at Naruto, perplexed by his behavior. The two girls followed Nell while he was sipping his soda. Naruto entered the room and used a small dagger with a skull on it to stab himself. A glove seemed so uninteresting. The Gigai gave him his true form. In the glory of his white coat, he stepped outside and found himself in the air over the apartment building. He sensed someone behind him and said, "I know you're here. Show yourself." He whirled to face the individual. The woman was blonde and spiky, wearing a white coat that was similar to his, but it covered her mouth and left her midsection exposed. Her arms were folded beneath her breasts. Then Naruto bowed slightly and said, "And who are you, my dear lady?" She pulled out her sword, something that initially caught Naruto off guard. "My name is Tia Haribel." Naruto put his hands in his pockets and remarked, "Tia Haribel, huh? Nice name. But why are you drawing your sword against me? I know you can sense my power. You should know that I am far beyond you." "Yes, I know." Naruto cocked his head and asked, "But you're still going for it?" "I have my orders. Are you going to draw your Zanpakuto?" Tia responded. "No, not to insult you. But if I drew my forbidden angel, you would die fast and painfully. And I'd rather not kill you like that. If at all." Naruto replied. She prepared herself and said, "Before we begin, may I ask if you are Naruto the White Fox, the true king of Hueco Mundo?" "Yes, I am. I was once known as the White Fox, still am, I assume. As you can see, I have a human appearance once again. Now, when this is over, tell your master or whoever you listen to not to confront me again. I might not leave the next one alive." Naruto awaited her assault. There was not much waiting for him. A few strange-looking men were examining some monitors in the Soul Society. They were enjoying a typical, dull afterlife while sipping coffee. When the alarm went off, everything changed. It caught them all off guard. Some even splattered themselves with coffee. It was really hot. One said, "What do we got?" "I don't know." Two beings, giving off Hollow and Soul Reaper signals. One is Captain level power, the other. The first began. One what? One what? It's giving off power as strong as Captain Commander Yamamoto. And it's still rising. They were all concerned. "I must inform the head captain. Keep tracking them." One fled. They didn't require two reminders. In order to ensure that the system did not crash, they had to perform system checks. Returning to reality, Tia and Naruto were at odds. She was putting up a fierce fight, but to him, he was just blocking. She was warned not to enter her final form, but she came very close. She was having trouble breathing. She appeared to be barely able to stand. Naruto remarked, "You fight well. I can feel your power." Naruto sneered and said, "Yet you would throw it away for this person you serve." Huff. Huff. She was breathing more heavily. "Are you even tired?" "No, both in life and in death I am a stamina god. Sorry to say, but you alone can't make me breath hard. You've been holding back, I see." Naruto cocked his head. Tia's eyebrow went up. "What do you mean? I have not held back at all in this fight," Tia replied. "Haven't you? You are an Arrancar, yes? A hollow that has taken off his or her mask and gained Soul Reaper-like powers," she responded, knowing the response. Tia exclaimed, "Yes. How did you know?" Other than her name, she had not spoken to him. "Because my dear beautiful Tia, I know of an Arrancar with the same strength as you. She has been with me for the last 100 years. When she goes all out on me when we train sometimes together, she is able to make a red mark on my skin. You haven't. You are about the same in terms of all abilities, and she doesn't use her released form like you have been hiding. But I understand that part. If you are worried that I will kill you if you irritate my skin, don't." Naruto was standing next to her. "So Nito, I wouldn't hurt someone as gorgeous as you," he said, grinning at her bewildered and distressed look. Her distinctive looking Zanpakuto was now covered in yellow spirit energy, and Naruto felt a tremendous buildup of Tia's spiritual pressure as he looked away from her to look at the distant background. Ola Azul. In addition to not letting go of her Zanpakuto, she was not holding back when she launched her yellow attack at Naruto, who blocked it with his outstretched hand. When the attack ceased, Naruto felt a scratch on his palm and his white glove was cut. That's more like it now. Because she was too weak to resist, Hisonito grabbed her Zanpakuto arm and held it away from them, then wrapped the other arm around her neck, saying, "Like I said, I'm not going to kill you. Unfortunately, our date had to end. I do, however, strongly advise you to reconsider your current employment arrangement. Your life would be lost if we were enemies and I engaged in actual combat." But, he spun her around and planted a kiss on her forehead. "Don't you think it's lovely that we see each other more often? The Soul Reapers will arrive shortly," he said, releasing her. "You ought to go, in my opinion. They'll pay closer attention to me." "Will I see you again?" she asked, nodding before tearing open a black portal. Thankful that her tall cat was hiding her blush behind it, she asked. "Yes. I promise you that I won't let you get away with it. We'll get together once more. Get moving now, because you don't want a beautiful woman like you to be fought by those Soul Reapers." She gave a nod and walked away. Naruto realized that more than 4 captains would be participating this time when he turned around and saw the Soul Reapers' well-known doors approaching. And he was correct, 25 people showed up, including 13 captains, 12 vice captains, and a bald man. "Nell, don't get involved. I knew our paths would cross again, old man Yamamoto." Naruto grinned at him and said, "You're not at full power yet, and I don't want you to get hurt." She nodded. "How long has it been?" A tail man with a helmet shouted at him, "You talk like you and Captain Commander Yamamoto know each other well." "I see. Didn't you tell them?" Naruto turned back to face the elderly man. Yamamoto uttered the words, 800 years. "I apologize." Naruto was perplexed by what he said. "It has been 800 years from the last time we met, Naruto," he repeated. "Oh, yes. I remember now. When I was Vasto Lord, Majesty." The Soul Reapers were all perplexed. "You definitely didn't tell them, I see. About how, aside from you, I killed every captain and vice captain at the time. So easily, I might add." He appeared somewhat dejected. Yamamoto hissed at him, saying, "You didn't seem too sad when you killed them effortlessly." "I've changed." Naruto defended, "I've changed. You remain a phony. A hollow that thirsts for blood." Soy Fan yelled at him. Play, Fade to Black, from Bleach AMV. Get up and be strong. "Oh, am I? You have no knowledge of, absolutely nothing? In all honesty, I regret killing so many people in my afterlife as a hollow. I am neither Soul Reaper nor hollow now. I am more than that. As the sole representative of the Forsaken race, my name is Masood Rerda. Half Soul Reaper, half hollow. I am a perfect being of both Soul Reaper power and hollow power." Naruto saw that one captain was more interested than he should be, but set that aside for the time being. "There is no chance for any of you. Get out now and don't return." The spiritual pressure was nearly intolerable, and he knew that Nell was doing her best to shield Orihime and Tatsuki from it. "I will not show much mercy this time around," he said, drawing his Zanpakuto, his black one. "Or else, you'll meet the same fate as the other ones I have killed, and know this." To confront this enormous threat, the captains and vice captains all took a position. Naruto made the "bring it" motion and said, "Come." He was surrounded first by the bald guy and 11 of the 12 vice captains. Naruto thought to himself, "Well, this is familiar." A man wearing glasses, the vice captain of the 7th Division, was the first to approach him. Naruto Sonito pasted him with his strange weapon that resembled a scimitar, and he was sliced to death. When another vice captain used his ranged Kusarigama Shikai to attack, Naruto sidestepped the attack, grabbed the chain that pulled him in, and then simply cut him down when he got close enough. When the red-headed man, the 6th Division's vice captain, attempted to attack with Naruto's back to him, Naruto simply used Sonito to paste him and cut him down. Next, the bald man with his spear, like Shikai, charged at him, attempting to cut his head off by attacking Naruto's neck. Naruto stared at it for a moment, then ducked like a slug, then sliced the weapon in two, finally taking down the bald madman. The large man with the chain wielding ball then attacked Naruto, who nearly sliced him in two with his speed in an attempt to surprise him. Another blonde vice captain, he struck Naruto several times with his strange hook. Like Shikai, grinned, and then sustained a nice, long gash across his midsection. Naruto began, "You think that your Zanpakuto's skills could win the day for you? It's pointless to be able to double my weight." To the falling man, he said, "For one as strong as I." In front of a timed woman who had not yet released her blade, Naruto performed a sonito, using 2 fingers to strike a pressure point on her neck and knock her unconscious. The next to attack him was a man brandishing a rapier, but Naruto didn't waste any time in slaying him with a sonito and a strong sword swing. After that, a green-eyed, expressionless woman attacked with a typical Zanpakuto. Naruto sonito defended her, and then he used his special Movea when he didn't want to hurt anyone to stun Sero. She was knocked unconscious with a tiny orange Sero. The busty blonde caught his eye, and since he didn't want to hurt her this time, he used a sonito and a stun Sero to knock her out as well. Instead of waiting for the next person to attack him, Naruto defended her by performing a stun Sero, which knocked out a small but attractive girl wearing glasses. She was trembling in terror when Naruto approached the last vice captain who had not been knocked out. Naruto used a stun Sero and knocked her out. "I told you everything." Naruto's voice was booming and laudatory. "Distance. I am far above you, and not afraid to show it. I will always be beyond your reach." Naruto's power only increased. Fade to black at the end of Bleach AMV. Get up and be strong. In less than 5 seconds, Naruto had vanquished 13 strong Soul Reapers. The girls he knocked unconscious were seized by their captains to prevent injuries during the fall, while the others were permitted to hit the ground with a loud thud. Now, who would like to follow? Naruto turned to face the 13 captains. Naruto had just defeated a brazen man present as well as the vice captains. Yamamoto merely gave Naruto a single glance and said, "You sure you want to do this again, old man? Last time 26 came at me and only 1 survived. What is it you want? I'm trying to live a peaceful life here in the human world. You have no idea how hard it is, do you? Why is it that you hunted me here?" replied Naruto. Yamamoto firmly stated, "You will pay for the crimes you've committed." One of the captains had disappeared, as Naruto saw. Additionally, he sensed a strong spiritual signature emanating from behind the ground. Based captains. She noticed a somewhat familiar, attractive woman dressing the wounds of the vice captains he had just beaten when he found it. Yamamoto shouted, "You, Naruto Uzumaki, will be destroyed right here, right now, at him. If this is about what happened 800 some years ago, I'm sorry. I know that it will not change the fact that I killed those captains. But know that I am very sorry. More than you know," Naruto said with a sad tone. Naruto noticed the captain who was just tending to the others and asked, then, "Would you come with us, peacefully?" She was adorable, damn it. "No, I already know what would happen to me. You will kill me, and I cannot die until I fulfill my promise to someone I made long ago when I died," Naruto replied to her. She told him, if she is dead, chances are she is at the Soul Society right now. "I sure as hell hope not. I've been to that place, and it sucks. If that is heaven, I'd hate to see hell. I've been to the Soul Society a few times looking for her. Looking for all of my friends and people I've considered family. I've looked for years there. Nowhere to be found." He said this in a collected but still sorrowful way. Yamamoto shouted, "You were at the Soul Society." They didn't like that they were unaware of such a strong hollow that was directly beneath their noses. "Yay. What of it? The people I'm looking for are not there, so I have no reason to go with you," Naruto replied to Yamamoto. "If you are really sorry, you should atone for your crimes there," she inquired once more. "You mind if I know your name? You're the first Soul Reaper that didn't attack me on sight and has been kind-hearted enough to not have a stressful conversation," the captain replied. She merely gave him a smile. "Enough talk. If you will not come with us willingly, then we will have to force you," Yamamoto shouted. Naruto aimed his blade at them and asked, "Really now?" Naruto stared him in the eye and said, "Want to give it a try? The last time you waited until all of your friends were dead before you even got in the ring." He was prepared for a full-on battle. He didn't want to fight them at the moment, if at all. Play invasion from the Bleach Ost. The Juggernaut man stepped forward and said, everyone back off. He pulled out his Zanpakuto and said, he's mine. Naruto said to him, bring it. As Kenpachi charged Naruto, he simply avoided his blow. The captain of the 11th Division didn't slow down. He attempted to sever Naruto's head. But get out of the way, Naruto Sonito. Naruto remarked from behind him, even at full power you can't hit me. Kenpachi attempted to turn around and slit him in two. Naruto was behind him once more, this time with another Sonito. I gave you ample amount of time. This fight is done. With a single, extremely powerful cut, Kenpachi was almost sliced in two, alive. The next captain's attack was deflected by Naruto. This man had the appearance of a clown. In a spooky manner, he said, you would make an excellent test subject. Naruto's gaze grew strained. Without any delay, Naruto dispatched the clown from hell, saying, I'm not playing with you. The clown's face was filled with shock as he fell. Cry Suzumushi. Naruto turned his gaze to his right. A black man took his Zanpakuto out of its sheath. A high-pitched sound reached his ears. The other captains merely observed. The black man initially wore a slight smile, but when the hollow in front of him did not recoil or move, that became a frown. He was calmly informed by Naruto that will not work on me. Very well, hollow. How about this? Bellbug type 2, flying locust. His sword began to move. His blade was followed by what appeared to be after images. Then, to Naruto's astonishment, they all became blades. Which all began at Naruto. Naruto simply waited for them while standing there. The speed was nothing to sneeze at, and they all struck Naruto. After a while, they were all pushed away by Naruto. Then he was right behind the man with a Sonito. Nice try. But you are done. Naruto killed the black man with a single, powerful sword slash. Pride is hurt. Still breathing, though. Tosen. Before the black man, who Naruto now knows as Tosen, fell to the hard ground. A huge Soul Reaper wearing a big helmet yelled as he saved him. The enormous Soul Reaper captain confronted Naruto. His voice was rough and strong as he said, you shall pay hollow. Naruto told him, try me. Men better than you have tried and failed. Roar Tenkan! Exclaimed the big captain. From his sword came a phantom blade. Naruto only used his own to block it. To be sure, it was unexpected. However, nothing was too much for Naruto to manage. Once more, the phantom blade fell. Once more, Naruto simply blocked using his Zanpakuto. As if it were his feather. Light. The captain was on the verge of releasing Bankai when his anger overcame him. But halted. He was followed by Naruto. He sliced into the captain using a Sonito and his own Zanpakuto power. Then he collapsed as well. Naruto turned to him as he was falling and said, a person like you can't hope to face me. He concluded, if they cannot face themselves. Then he was charged by a man who had a spooky smile that might have been that of a fox or a snake that bends depending on who you speak to. Shoot to kill, Shinso. The man's short, tiny Zanpakuto rocketed like a bullet at Naruto. Naruto used his left hand to seize it. A frown dropped across the man's face. He found it difficult to free his blade from Naruto's vice grip. Sonito walked past Naruto, who was already bored with the captain. Severing him in the process, he would survive. Next was the silent one. With calmness, he said, scatter, Senbon Sakura. This again? Inquired Naruto. They were surrounded by Sakura petals. Naruto scoffed. Sakura petals irritated him. Only unpleasant recollections of them. He pointed one finger at him and said, I don't want to play with you. Despair Sero. The fastest Sero he had ever fired in memory was a pitch black one. Devastation was visible when it struck the captain. He appeared to be engaged in a protracted altercation. His body was covered in cuts and burns. He was spooked by Naruto as he fell. Nothing against you personally. But your Shikai bring up bad memories. Stuff I wish to forget, but can't, he replied to Naruto. Naruto sensed the chill in the air. It was the child. Naruto gave him a look. He said, isn't it past your bedtime? On his head, a tick mark appeared. The ice dragon returned for the second round, declaring, reign over the frosted heavens Hiranmaru. Naruto simply gazed at him. The child's power is not a concern. Naruto remarked, for one so young. You are powerful. Naruto was charged by the ice dragon. To block, Naruto held up a hand. It appeared as though a force field struck the ice dragon when it struck. It struck nothing except Naruto's hand. Wah. But how? Naruto was right behind him, saying, you know. The young captain was in complete shock. You remind me of an asshole. Turned friend after I beat his ass. He was sent flying after Naruto delivered a powerful power kick to the head, saying, and for that. This won't hurt as much. He addressed the falling captain, saying, I hope you're not hurt too badly. Then, with ease, he stopped a blade that was approaching from his right. He was attacked by a spectacled captain. Beware of that one. He is far stronger than he lets on. In his mind, Naruto heard a voice. Ordinarily a bad thing, but he recognized the person. Naruto ignored it for the time being. The words, you are powerful, caused him to pull away from Naruto. He said, do you mind looking at my sword? Naruto examined his blade. There is nothing noteworthy about it. Naruto detested narcissists and asked, you're not a narcissist, are you? Naruto cut him down when he merely smiled, unwilling to confront the captain, who appeared weak. He was attacked hand.to. Hand by the next captain. He grinned, knowing this one. And why not? Now is the time to play tricks on her. He grinned and asked, and what does my little bee want today? Looking up her skirt would never irritate her as much as knowing that would. Soy Fan attempted to stab him in the neck out of rage. She didn't, however. Over here. My little bee. Naruto struck a pressure point, causing her to become numb, and she felt a hand on her neck before nothing at all. Making sure she wouldn't hit the ground, he set her up on a building's roof. Naruto faced the next two captains and took a half step to his right. All waves, rise now and become my shield, lightning, strike now and become my blade. Flower wind rage and flower god roar, heavenly wind rage and heavenly demon sneer. The Shikai of both captains were released. Naruto glanced at their Shikai and both captains. Naruto pointed to them with his blade, saying, well now. That's a surprise. I have to use my next stage of power to fight the both of you. Naruto started to accumulate a great deal of spiritual pressure. Up until now I've only been using 10% of my power. Prepare yourself. He said. The eyes of the final four captains grew wide. Devastate and despair. Forbidden angel. The atmosphere was charged with black spirit energy. The only way to describe it was overwhelming. The Shikai of Naruto appeared. It looked and felt malevolent. Come, was the slit echo of Naruto's vice. He attacked with his right blade first when the captain in the pink captain's coat approached. Naruto went black as if it didn't happen. Naruto used his left hand to stop his attack when he used his left blade. Naruto pointed his finger at him and kicked the blow away. Sero. The captain was shot by a typical Crimson Sero. He had to dodge the kick, but he was still in the air from it. The long, somewhat colored hair of the other captain leapt in front of it. Rose retaliated against Naruto with the Sero and both of his blades. When Naruto saw this, he arched an eyebrow. He reared Zanpakuto himself. Devastation. The Sero was absorbed, and everyone saw it. It ended with Naruto's Zanpakuto looking sickly purple. Its power appeared to have increased as well. Despair. He said, pointing to the captain who had fired the power bolt back at him. Only for it to return to Naruto. This went on back and forth for a few minutes. The fact that this hollow possessed abilities similar to his own surprised the captain. But when it came to him, made it much stronger. Sonito pasted the captain after Naruto broke the chain. He broke both of his Zanpakutos. Then, from upper left to lower right, he was cut across. He would survive, but for some time he would require bandages. His friend was rescued by the other captain. With his blade still purple and above his head, Naruto Sonito was directly in front of him. The captain attempted a cross block with both swords when he brought it down. However, Naruto's Zanpakuto sliced through them both as if they were air, and through him, but he will survive. With a slow inhalation, Naruto released the remaining energy in his Zanpakuto. The second.to. Last Soul Reaper captain then launched an attack, which Naruto stopped. She told him, you don't seem like a hollow. He responded with a joke, and you don't seem like a soul reaper, so we're even. At his comment, she cocked her head. She politely inquired, what do you know about soul reapers? Not much. But what I do know outside of their combat skills isn't a good thing. Their politics are nothing short of corrupted men in power. Soldiers that follow these corrupted men willingly and blindly to their death, and the deaths of innocents. Sadly, you are the same. A soldier following the corrupt, he stated. At what he had just said, she appeared stunned. You don't believe that, do you? Your kind persecutes hollows just for being who they are. Animals that eat. Yes, I know that they eat human souls, but they are no different than any other animal on this planet. They eat to live. Not live to eat. But your kind kills the hollows just for being them. He exhaled. Their blades remained between them, face to face. Then there are the unjust laws of the Soul Society. You call the Soul Society heaven. I call it the second hell. No place like that should dare call itself heaven, he concluded. She met his eyes directly. She noted, you don't seem like the type to become a hollow. Naruto's head cocked. What do you mean by that? Normally, hollows are either remorseful or hateful. You are neither, he replied. And even now you're not cold-blooded, or do you act like a monster? He replied. He let out a sigh. You're right, I'm not the type. But many circumstances contributed to me becoming a hollow. When I was 12 or 13 I was sent to get my friend back when he left for power. Then, when I caught up to him he killed me so he could get more power. But all of my pain started at birth. When a soul reaper sealed inside me a great and powerful demon. The demon's soul was forever linked to mine. That helped a bit. Naruto sighed as he recalled this tragic story. But, let me show you, not tell you. Naruto touched her forehead with his left hand. She suddenly saw every memory he had, from birth to death. Brief flashbacks to Naruto's loneliness throughout his life. The agony of betrayal and guilt toward the end of his life by the person he considered a friend and brother. And above all, the hurt of even more betrayal upon witnessing their actions. She was confused by all the memories when they parted ways, mostly sad. Naruto put some distance between them, saying, sorry, I should have warned you about my memories. I'll give you a moment to collect yourself. Invasion from the end Bleach Ost. Next up beside Naruto is Nel Sonito. Something was whispered in his ear. It would seem our little fight will have to wait, Yamamoto. We are causing too much trouble for the humans around us. We will meet again. The two Sonito fled. Damn it, swore Yamamoto. Before they could fight, they had fled. What did he mean when he said that they were too much trouble for the nearby humans? To shield the humans from their battle, they had erected a barrier. He surveyed the area. Nearly every captain and vice captain sustained an injury. He only stated, we are returning to the Seirei. It would take some time before any of them would be in combatable condition. With Naruto, Nel was carrying a knocked-out Tatsuki, and Naruto was carrying a knocked-out Orihime. I was afraid of this. Our very presence has caused a change in these girls. Orihime more than Tatsuki. Nel was told by Naruto. Nel questioned, when will they realize their powers? I don't know. Orihime will soon enough. Tatsuki a little later. Even in our Gigai bodies they were exposed to our spirit energy. There is no telling what powers they will get. Naruto murmured. Then he sensed Yamamoto and the others departing from the world of humans. Well, take them back, we need to be more careful from now on. They know we are both here. So they will come for us sooner or later. Nel gave a nod. Nel questioned, do you think that they will forgive us? He told her, it is not you that needs forgiveness. He removed several hairs from Orihime's face. 2 days later, at school Naruto was observing Nel, Orihime, and Tatsuki from a distance. He felt guilty for meddling in their lives and now permanently altering them. He would wish for their forgiveness in due time. Then Yoruichi appeared. She was furious with him. He has been haunted by his past. He planned to see her tomorrow or later today. Ichigo said to him, hey, why are you all the way out here? Knowing the answer, Naruto said, oh, no reason. Just out here. Hey, do you know what's up with Chad's bird? It stopped talking. There was a soul of a little boy in it. Killed the hollow and set the kid free. Ichigo clarified. Naruto glanced at him and said, oh, good job. I see a lot of me in you. Ichigo's expression was one of ineptitude. Naruto chuckled and said, Pay it no mind. Let's just focus on that test soon, yay. Ichigo got Naruto up and said, yay, right. Come on. Orihime already misses you. Rukia approached them and said, hey, Ichigo. I need to talk to you. They fell on each other after Naruto shoved Ichigo on Rukia, saying, it's more Soul Reaper stuff I assume. Go on Wonder Boy. Something that makes Naruto laugh a lot. Naruto laughed and said, Rukia. You should wait till you get a room at least. Ichigo shoved Rukia away from him, saying, hey, get off me. Naruto sighed, I needed that. It was time for the next class when the bell rang. More jokes about Ichigo and Rukia were shared as the day came to a close. Always, accidentally, tripping Rukia or Ichigo on top. Alternatively, Rukia, accidentally, tripped and fell on his groin. He laughed so hard that he felt his sides separating, man. But enough about the laughing. He visited Kazuki's place, intending to track down Yoruichi and offer her an apology for the crimes he committed against her family. It took him nearly the entire day, but he succeeded. Asking someone you like to apologize for the death of a family member is not something you do very often. For a while now, Naruto has been standing outside Kazuki's store, waiting for Yoruichi to enter or exit. Nor did she. Naruto let out a sigh. He would attempt to ask Kazuki, but he would remain silent for some reason. Something about a child jumping across roofs was reported on the news that evening. He knew no one saw him. Upon closer inspection, Ichigo was identified. Naruto exclaimed, what the hell possessed him to do that? A tiny plush lion sneezed somewhere else. Naruto got some rest, and at some point during the night, he sensed Nell entering again. He didn't mind at all. What man in his right mind would refuse Nell, really? That's not a man. In any case, Nell embraced Naruto. He could still recall their first conversation, which had taken place after she had moved past the loss of her brothers. It had been a while. She was content, though. Rewind. Nell was being piggy, backed by Naruto. Or perhaps Nell was dangling over his head. They only ever walked in a straight line, never turned left or right. Big brother. Yes, Nell. Why does Big Brother Naruto protect Nell? Naruto raised his head slightly, as though attempting to gaze at her. Well, before I met you, I had no purpose. No reason for being. I had all this power, and nothing to do with it. No one to protect with it. Long ago, when I was alive, someone told me what true strength is. I took that advice to heart. He grinned. You are my purpose. My one reason for being. And I will protect you. No matter what, Nell. And that's a promise, he grinned. She lifted her right pinky and asked, promise? Naruto linked his own to it. Promise. Flashback end. Despite this, they are no longer as close as they were in Hueco Mundo. They behaved more like a pair. He encircled her with his arms. He said to her, good night, Nell. Now that I think about it, we share a bed, so why'd I have two? In the Seirei, Yamamoto was enraged beyond belief. For a while, nearly all of his captains and vice-captains were unable to perform their duties. Additionally, there were rumors that an invincible hollow readily defeated all of the captains. He heard the captain of the 4th Division say, Captain Commander. She said, may I come it? He said to her, yes you may. As usual, Captain Commander Yamamoto was examining the Seirei. Sir. That man was the same hollow that came to the human world 800 years ago, right? I remember the blue eyes on that hollow, he replied. A forgotten piece of history. Yes. It was. On that day the Soul Society lost 25 good Soul Reapers. The two of you talked when you fought. What information did you get out of him? She had a dejected expression. That is what I'm here to talk to you about. I got everything from his past. Also some things I didn't want to know. She started telling him everything she had heard and seen. She could hardly contain her tears as she relived what she had witnessed. Yamamoto merely listened. Thank you for telling me this. You may go back to your barracks. The following day, Orihime was walking with Naruto and Nell to school. As usual in the morning, Nell and Orihime were engaged in conversation. When Tatsuki finally caught up to them, she went for walks with Naruto. Naruto refrained from sneering. He didn't despise Tatsuki in any way. But she was a hollow target because she was close to him. She will become more spiritually aware. Already, it was too late for Orihime. Nell, however, continued to suppress all of her spirit energy. Naruto followed suit. These Gigai, however, are unable to contain theirs. Yes, Nell. Not his, though. He has an excessive amount of spirit energy. She said, "Hey, you okay?" He stated simply, "Yes," he told her, just thinking about something. "About what?" His voice was a little relieved as he said, "Nothing that you'd be interested in. Oh look, we're here." There were several men hiding from the group, probably the men Naruto assaulted on their first day. The others were upset with him because he was surrounded by 3 attractive women. He chuckled at their suffering. They took their seats as soon as they arrived at class. Naruto is still contemplating. If he stays here, by the end of the year, everyone in this class may be spiritually aware. Thus, he is unable to. Chad and Orihime would go first. Next is Tatsuki. He will increase Ichigo's power, which is something Naruto hoped would happen. Naruto could tell that the other guy was spiritually aware. He was quite powerful. Powerful enough that if he attacked, Naruto would actually look at him. But that's all. However, he appeared to be able to control his power better than Ichigo. The spirit energy of Ichigo is like a river that overflows. This man was composed. Naruto, however, was unconcerned. He still needed to locate Yoruichi and express regret to her. This time he was going to find her. Then Ichigo entered. A bit different from his typical, tough guy, demeanor. He said politely, "Hey Orihime, how you doing?" Naruto's mind raised a red flag. Ichigo. Pleasant? It simply did not add up. It was, Great, she exclaimed. However, Naruto could tell by her body language that she was worried about Ichigo. Ichigo isn't always voluntarily kind, after all. That's great. Hey Naruto, Rukia, Nell, Chad, how about you guys? Hey, what about us? Exclaimed one of Ichigo's other companions. He said, "Oh yay, how are you two doing?" Naruto considered it, despite the short time he's known him. Ichigo wasn't typically kind to people, and Naruto could tell that. That's what his tough guy act was. He was concealing something. It was an act. However, he had no right to interfere in the child's life. Orihime questioned, "Why is Ichigo being so nice today?" Nell was also pondering that. Tatsuki appeared to have had an idea. She said, "Hey, what day is it?" When Chizuru asked, "June 17th. Why?" she exclaimed, "Oh, that explains it." Naruto opened his book and asked, "That explains what?" That nothing said everything to nothing. "Oh, nothing." He told her without looking up, "Nothing says a lot more than everything, Tatsuki." She said, "Yay. It does." Tatsuki and Orihime walked to their apartment with Naruto and Nell. Clouds of rain threatened to fall on them. Before they were soaked by the storm, Naruto made them move more quickly. Nell and Naruto both sensed a void. By standard standards, it's a fairly powerful one. However, Naruto sensed Ichigo's spirit energy nearby. He'll take care of it. They arrived home just before the rain began. Naruto, personally, enjoyed the rain. There was nothing like that in Hueco Mundo. Tatsuki. Why was Ichigo so nice today? Nell responded. Tatsuki's expression was contemplative. Tatsuki began her account of what she knew about Ichigo by saying, "Well, it started on June 17th, on a rainy day like this. When Ichigo and his family lost their mother. How Ichigo used to be a whiner. Who was worthless for him to fight. Above all, though. How, on a rainy day like today, he holds himself responsible for his mother's passing. June 17th. Naruto considered it. Naruto uttered the words, "Idiot." Aloud. He blames himself for something he thinks he caused. Thinking like that will make him depressed. Naruto caught the attention of the other girls. Tatsuki said, "Now that he thinks about it, what are your stories, Naruto, Nell? I mean, you just drop out of the blue. And no one knows a thing about you too," Tatsuki said. Naruto considered that. He was aware that this would happen. He therefore believed that he had considered a lie for both of them. He grinned to himself. Well, our parents were friends when they were our age. Both of our parents were. They got married Hadis, and we were friends since 5 years old. We grew up together. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Then, When we were 13, we were in a car crash with a drunk driver. Our parents were killed, leaving us behind. But we stuck together to get over our loss. And together we managed to. He deceived them. It's a pretty convincing one. Tatsuki and Orihime both wept for them. Telling Tatsuki and Nell a lie was a sad experience. However, it was preferable to their reality. He had time to locate Yoruichi because the week was almost over. Then he would look for her. He would, however, savor the special dinner that Orihime prepared for today for the time being. Nevertheless, if they weren't accustomed to it, everyone would think it was unique. The next weekend, Naruto set out to find Yoruichi. He wanted to apologize for his treatment of her. His bloody past was something he would always regret. However, there was nothing that could be done. Nothing could alter the fact that it was unchangeable. He traced the energy of her spirit. It was challenging to follow. She was adept at concealing it. You'll have a terrible time finding her if you combine that with the fact that he was always terrible at things like this. Let's also add that he is in his spirit form, which puts him in danger of being discovered by the Soul Society. One issue after another. He let out a sigh. He was aware that this would not be simple. However, he had no idea it would be so difficult. Her spirit energy briefly surged, just as Naruto was about to give up. Probably by changing into her human form. He focused on the spot where he sensed it so as not to waste his chance. He arrived at a warehouse close to the city's outskirts. Appeared to have been abandoned for a while. Not wanting to waste this opportunity, he went inside to look for her. When he entered, there was nobody there and nothing. He was certain she was present. Then there appeared to be a large trapdoor. Naruto gave it a slightly suspicious glance. After all, it's not often that a door in an area that shouts, "Danger," opens up close to you. In any case, Naruto entered. He was shocked by what he discovered. Kazuki's training field was the location. Yoruichi's voice called out to Naruto, "Greetings, Naruto." His voice did not sound hateful or angry as he said, "I thought you'd come." It was rife with malicious intent, and she smirked. Not true evil, though. When a woman is not planning to murder you, she can be evil. With all the evil she could muster, she said, "Now then. Are you ready?" About 8 more odd looking individuals entered his field of vision. One with an extremely eerie grin. With Nell. Nell exclaimed, "That's strange?" Aloud. "What is?" inquired Orihime. Returning to her dinner, she remarked, "Well, I just thought that Naruto was in trouble, but it must be my imagination." Eating contentedly with Orihime. With Naruto again. The bodies of the battered wizards were scattered all around Naruto. Or so Naruto thought. They had all been defeated by Naruto. However, they were conceived. To him, Yoruichi leapt down. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Yoruichi walked up to him. Bang. Naruto was on the floor holding his groin in pain. Yoruichi was holding her foot while she was bouncing around. "That hurt," exclaimed Yoruichi. "That's my line," Naruto exclaimed as he turned again. She shouted, "What the hell did I just kicked?" Naruto managed to smile as he smiled. "My balls of steel." Yoruichi and Naruto chuckled. Following a period of recuperation required for both of them, Naruto took a seat on a rock beside Yoruichi. "I am really sorry, Yoruichi. I knew my bloody past would come back to haunt me." He got on his hands and knees next to her and placed his head on the ground. "I'm sorry, I'm very sorry." She glanced at him and could feel the regret draining from him as he apologized profusely. When he got up after she tapped him on the shoulder, she gave him a hug and said, "I apologize for kicking you in the groin." With a sigh of relief, Naruto thought to himself, "I hope I don't have to say I'm sorry again." 1 week later, it had been a week since Yoruichi had forgiven him, which was fortunate because he couldn't take any more blows to his manhood. Nell and Orihime had become closer, so that was good. He also had a new trick up his sleeve, which is always nice to have. It had been mostly quiet, with neither Nell nor Orihime bothered by anything other than low-level hollows coming out to play with Ichigo. He was walking by himself, wondering what the Soul Reapers might be up to. Nell was with Orihime and Tatsuki, and Chizuru was cleaning up a mess. Chizuru had been out of heat, as Tatsuki called it, since his brief conversation with her, so if she wanted to approach Orihime, he would let her. Out loud, he said, "Hollow bait." After running into his room and stabbing himself with a small dagger to escape his Gigai, he looked around and saw that there were a lot more hollows than any small hollow bait canister could entice out. He felt Ichigo and a few others fighting them off, but his thoughts came to an end when he felt a few others behind him who shared Nell's and Tia's energy. He turned around and saw 6 men. The first one was a pale white Arrancar, short and black-haired. He had what he thought was a fan behind his head, almost like a pirate himself. He was the second strongest of the group, but probably the dumbest. He had light blue hair and a bone jaw on the side of his mouth. Nothing else really stood out to Naruto. The next one was a black Arrancar with what appeared to be a bone mask fragment around his neck, weaker than the previous one, but not the weakest. The second To. Last one made him sneer. This Arrancar had pink hair, and the last one was the weakest of them all, a very large Arrancar that made bodybuilders look like pansies. He had a jaw like mast fragment around his neck. All right, now, for 6 Arrancars today, what can I do? Naruto asked politely. Hello, White Fox. Ulquiorra Schiffer is my name. The pale one asked Naruto, we would be honored if you could join us back to Hueco Mundo for a short time. Well, I assume you're the leader, Naruto said, turning to face Ulquiorra. Naruto said, well, I'm afraid I must decline. He pointed behind him, adding, some of our less than civil brethren are attacking the city right now, seeing as you're the smart one. Naruto informed them, I'll take care of them first. But why do you want me to accompany you in the first place? Naruto's eyebrows went up. We would like you to join us right now. White Fox, the pale Arrancar repeated, we have someone who wants to spec with you. Is this the man we were instructed to locate? One of them, the obnoxious looking one with the eye patch, remarked, this guy doesn't look too tough. And none of you appear capable of hurting me in any way. What's your point, then? Naruto shot back. Oh no. That's it, now he dies. As if he were insane, Naruto gazed at the eye patch. Noitora. Ulquiorra warned the man, be careful if you want to fight the White Fox. My name is Noitora Jiruga, he said, still grinning. The 5th Espada is me. Now get ready to die, he said, drawing his double crescent moon. Long Zanpakuto. Why do bad guys always say that before they fight a guy and end up getting beaten up? Noitora was now 1 arm short when Naruto spoke from behind the group. You are asshole. He used his strong arm to charge at Naruto. You are such a pitiful person. He would live to fight another day. At least you can fall to the group with what little dignity you have before you attacked me, Naruto said, cutting him nearly in half. The light-haired man then attacked, but Naruto deflected his sword blow with his arm before throwing the Arrancar into the air with a single, powerful blow. Came at me again. He said to the man, when you're stronger than you are now. The black guy came next, and he was faster than everyone else he had encountered except for Retsu and the old man. He created 4 copies of himself, but Naruto was unimpressed because he was slower than him. He took a good, hard blow to the skull, and he flew to the ground. The pink one came next. I don't want to play with you, he said, almost severing the pink one with his blade. I detest the color of your hair. Naruto addressed the bleeding Arrancar, saying, it reminds me of the reason I became a hollow. Ulquiorra was integer, feeling a tremendous amount of spirit energy all around the blonde as he considered what the White Fox had just done. The big guy then tried to punch Naruto with his enormous fist, but Naruto didn't even bother to move. The attack was halted a few feet from Naruto. You like it, big guy? I refer to it as steel air. A better name is required. However, the surrounding air feels as though the Arrancar steel skin has just been applied. Since none of you were able to make it, I tell you this. Naruto explained, the amount of spirit energy required to sustain this for any amount of time is beyond what any of you can do. Naruto then severed the Arrancar's right arm. Ah. You're a jerk. The pale one told the others, we're leaving. There's no point in fighting the White Fox. We're dead if we do. We'll get together once more. Uzumaki Naruto. Ulquiorra, before you leave. Naruto threatened, tell whoever you are in charge to come himself the next time. Ulquiorra Sonido and the other Arrancar members. When Naruto looked around, he saw a Jillian. He was more annoyed than scared because, despite the fact that he had left out some of his power, hollows were still coming. This could mean one of two things. Either he hasn't released enough power to scare them, or something is controlling the hollows, possibly the Arankar. In any case, for the time being, he would have to solidify his power over all hollows sooner or later to stop this from ever happening again. However, for the moment, he felt spiritual pressure from Ichigo and a few other guys. He was a little surprised when he got a good look at him, but he was more shocked by Ichigo's plan to deal with the Jillian. His face faltered, but the sadder thing was Ichigo's plan. I was worse. Naruto told himself, nearly crying as he did so, but was startled out of his reverie by Ichigo's surge of spiritual pressure. Impressive. He said, before the Jillian was slashed from head to toe. Very impressive. Oh no you don't. Naruto Sonido slammed into the Jillian's face, saying, no don't get to come here and just leave because you want to. Naruto destroyed the Jillian right away, then took a little while to fix the hole in the sky. He landed close to Ichigo and the other guy because he never really understood the kid's name. Hi, Ichigo. Why did so many hollows decide to come out and play tag with you all at once? Calmly, Naruto inquired, did you mess up again? Naruto made a joke. Hey, it was not my fault. Oh. Suddenly, Ichigo collapsed to the ground, his spiritual pressure exploding. Naruto knew the child was done unless he was assisted, but before he could do so, the child next to him began gathering his spirit energy and launching it into the air. Intrigued, he watched as Ichigo's power began to stabilize. He knew the child was in their class, spiritually aware, but neither Soul Reaper nor Hollow, nor was his powers. Naruto politely questioned, I know we're in the same class, but I never did catch your name. I am Uryu Ishida, he said, pushing up his glasses. Oh, I remember now. According to the test results, you were the top performer today. Correct? Naruto inquired. Yes. However, Soul Reaper, I am not your friend, he said, I detest Soul Reapers. We can be such good friends, wow. I also detest Soul Reapers, Naruto informed him. Uryu tilted his head in response. But, my Zanpakuto, don't waste your time trying to solve it. To even tempt such a thing, you are much too young. I'll take care of Wander Boy for the time being. You ought to return home. Take care of your injuries as well. It didn't take long for Naruto to get to Kazuki's place after throwing Ichigo over his shoulder, and Rukia, who had never witnessed anyone other than a captain destroy a Jillian before, stared at him in terror. Oh, don't appear so surprised. Jillian was nothing. I told you previously that it was a newborn because it was still consuming low-level hollows, he informed her. More powerful than most creatures in this world and the next, I have vanquished things. Do you believe me now? And Rukia, don't look at me in terror, Naruto said in a light-hearted manner. I'll protect you because I'm your friend, he said with a sly smile. I'm friendly, even though I might have been a little quiet, he said. Naruto. Well? Nell was soon embracing Naruto, giving him the doom, pleasing embrace. Nell. Not possible. Take a breath. Dying. Naruto quickly passed out from oxygen deprivation. Naruto saw Chad and Orihime beside him after he arrived. I see. You two are strong just by existing in this world, Naruto uttered aloud. I thought that you two would turn around and become spiritually aware. Not shocking, Naruto told them. You were aware? Chad inquired. Yes, you spend nearly every day with Ichigo and me. If Ichigo hadn't been attacked by a hollow one night, it wouldn't have been an issue. However, those are the breaks. My spirit energy, which seeps from me, spread to people around me when I also appeared and you spent time with me. However, you absorbed more of it than most because you had previously had a run.in with a hollow, he said to Chad. As for you, Orihime. Nell and I spend every day together, and we live next door. He apologized to her, saying, it was only a matter of time until your powerful surfaced. He apologized to them for getting them both involved in this. There's no need to apologize, Naruto, Orihime informed him. You're correct. Either way, this would have occurred, but having you here is better. Said Chad. Naruto said, thanks. How's Wonder Boy? Naruto heard Yoruichi's male voice say, Ichigo is doing fine. For now. He'll make it, thanks to Ryu. Naruto reflected on his brief experience with the Arankars and said, I see. Other than him, someone else was in charge of the hollows. He might be able to take 1 or 2 ideal Arankars. But not around 7. He stood up. You guys should go home. Things are about to get ugly and you two will be thrown in the middle of it. I suggest you go home and get some sleep. It will be for the best. Nell, walk Orihime home. He instructed them. Nell gave a nod and walked away. Yoruichi led Naruto into Kazuki's training room. Have you been working on your new trick? She inquired. He was now behind her and said, yes, I have. He did something that wasn't Sonito or Flash Step. I call it Eka Furashu, or Echo Flash. It's faster than Sonito or Flash Step combined, and is silent. Unlike Sonito. Also twice the range as either of them. Making it the best instant movement, he said to her. Echo Flash, nice. Can anyone learn it? She inquired. No, not anyone. I could teach it to those Vizard guys I beat up and Nell. But only because they have Soul Reaper and Hollow powers. The Vizard can only use it when they have the mask on. Nell could use it whenever. But it would take a lot out of her as of now. She is still not at full power. I'm amazed myself. He replied. I expected her to be at full power by now. Either she hasn't recovered as fast as I thought she would or she has more power than I thought. He sighed. Yoruichi appeared taken aback. Yoruichi's eyes widened at the thought, you serious? I mean, she's almost as strong as me. And she's almost as fast. And you're saying she's not at full power? In response to another of her attacks, he said, yes, it would seem. But I'm not surprised. Why not? She questioned. Because anyone and everyone near me will get stronger slowly but surely. Even you. Anyone who was spiritual aware how was near me will naturally get stronger. And Nell was near me. Hell, she was piggyback on me for 100 or so years. At full power, she'd probably give 3 of those captains a run for their money. At once. He summed up. She attempted to strike his face, saying, I see, however, he blocked it. She asked slyly, what about me? Will I get stronger? Yes. Even though we have only known each other for about 2 or so mouths, you have been a close proximity to me for the time. So you will get stronger. Even Wonder Boy, Orihime and Chad will get stronger. Naruto's gaze widened. Naruto performed an Echo Flash and said to her, sorry, we have to cut this short. Yoruichi simply glanced at his location. She said, I so need to learn that. She thought to herself, he might just be the god of Flash to go with the goddess of Flash. With Naruto following Ichigo's thrashing, in a flash, Naruto was there. 2 things caught his attention at once. First, Uryu and Wonder Boy were both unconscious. He turned away from them to see Rukia standing with the red-headed vice captain and the silent captain, also known as the stick-up-ass captain. Hello Rukia, stick-up-the-ass captain, short-tempered vice captain. How can I help you while you are in my part of the human world? Asked Naruto. To their credit, not a single one flinched or even threatened to flee like a little bitch. The first to speak was the silent one. This does not concern you, Hollow. The red-haired man said, that's right, this is official Soul Reaper business. Naruto said, you're weaker, and it does concern me. Rukia is a friend of mine. As well as a friend of Wonder Boy over there. So your official Soul Reaper business just became my business. Naruto stated to them. They both started to perspire. The captain is less important than the redhead. Naruto started to reflect. A lot of things didn't make sense. Let them go. Naruto heard his inner voice, Naruto. Why? Naruto inquired. The power of the glasses blinds the stronger of these 2. And I don't think he's aware of it, his inner voice informed him. Then. In this world and the one you came from, there is an old proverb. The henhouse is being guarded by a fox. I understand. Naruto listened carefully. That's when he ought to have killed the glasses guy. He would wait, though. He told them, I suggest you go, before I decide to stop you. The short-tempered one looked shocked and asked, you're letting us go? Why? Naruto held up one finger and said, I have my reasons. Reasons you wouldn't understand. But, he gestured to Rukia and said, don't get comfortable. I'm sure Wonder Boy will come for her. Because that's just the type of person he is. The captain said, then he'll die. I don't know so. I know that he will beat both of you. He will save Rukia. And he will live, to talk about it. Not that he will talk about it. He stated this. The red-headed person said, what makes you think he will, Hollow? Naruto let out a sigh. Naruto swung Ichigo over his shoulder and said, I already told you. I am not a hollow. As for how I know, because that's what I would have done in his place. And treated Uryu in the same way. This young one is a lot like me. He will come for her when he is ready, and just because I know it's going to be fun, I'm going to come along with Nell. She needs to get some real fight time under her belt. Naruto looked at the two Soul Reapers with a grin using Echo Flash. Naruto left the three to ponder. I am excited for our trip to the Soul Society. I am looking forward to it. The young redhead said, Captain, do you think you will come to the Soul Society? Without bothering to respond, he said, let's go Rukia. Both of them are aware that the blonde would keep his promise. With Naruto. The two wounded boys had been placed on the ground by Naruto. His question to Kazuki was, think you can heal them? He pulled out his fan and said, oh, but how can I do that? I'm just a simple candy store owner. Naruto stared at him blankly. Yes, I can fix him up, but he has lost his Soul Reaper powers. That is what the fix him part is. I'm sure you can fix that too. As for me and Nell, we need to train. Well, Nell more so than me. We're going to the Vizard place. She needs to train with captains again. And Yoruichi will be busy with the others. So, yay, he concluded. Kazuki questioned, well, how will you get them to train with you? Naruto smiled malevolently. His evil smile grew even more evil as he said, oh, I have my ways. In the area of the warehouse, Nell said, what are we doing here, Naruto? Naruto cleared his throat and said, oh, just watch my beautiful centaur. I am here once again to beat up on Soul Reaper rejects ass. If you do not comply, I will have to come in and hunt for you in your shitty shack you call a home, Naruto said. Nell's expression was lost as she gazed at Naruto. Counting down, Naruto said, 3, 2, 1. The lengthy metal door opened. Violently. Something said, what did you say, you motherfucker? By a girl with short blonde hair. Naruto grinned as the short girl's face flushed. Oh, so the short-tempered little girl of the group has come to greet us. Did you get the short end of the stick today? Naruto asked. Hi, exclaimed Nell. I'm Nalil 2 Oderschwenk. Nell for short. Nice to meet you. None of them appeared pleased to see him again when the others arrived. He merely grinned. Naruto pushed his way in and said, hello. Mind if we stay here for a while? To the sneering of the majority of the inhabitants. Nell simply gave Naruto her typical glance. She questioned, Naruto, did you poke the hornet's nest? I don't understand what the human being is saying. But somehow, it fit right in here. Soul culture. The head captain asked the captain of the 6th division, he didn't attack you? Yes. That's right. He came, picked up the human boys and left us. He began, however, he did say one thing before he left. The captain turned to face him. On the inside, he was terrified, and that being? One of the captain's eyes widened as he said, that the boy will come to save the fugitive. And he will come too. Along with someone he calls Nell. The glasses captain's eyes widened once more as he said, one can only assume that it is the green-haired women we saw with him. Thank you for your report. I want everyone on high alert. I don't want this hollow to get the jump on us again. Report any suspicion of hollow activity in the Soul Society. I want this hollow killed. And so does Central 46. Dismissed. Captain Retsu wait a moment. After the other captains departed, the head captain had a conversation with the captain of the 4th division. I understand that you might hesitate because of the images the hollow showed you. I want you to know that those can easily be faked. Do not be fooled by it. He is a hollow. Plain and simple. No matter how much he looks human, no matter how many times he says he is sorry for what he has done, he is a hollow to the core. Now, and forever. Until we deal with him. I want you to think on this. You are dismissed, he concluded. She gave a nod and walked away. Yamamoto had hoped that she would avoid helping the hollow in any way because she might feel bad about it. Retsu, on the other hand, simply isn't sure what to think anymore. In regards to the corrupt part, she initially believed that Naruto's statements were untrue. Now, though, she might believe that he might be correct. Is she simply following those who follow the corrupt, even though she would obey orders? She simply was unaware. For his part, Captain Commander Yamamoto had other ideas. We shall finish our battle Naruto Uzumaki. and I will finally lay to rest my friends that you have killed." Naruto was reading a very familiar orange book while perched on a rock. Nell continued to train with the Wizards during this time. To regain her strength and get ready for the battle against the Soul Society, she was training. It might not have spent much time with Rukia. However, he is aware that Orihime will accompany Ichigo. Naruto's sole purpose in visiting the Soul Society is to ensure the safety of Orihime, Ichigo, and whoever else chooses to go. "Tell me again why you're here?" an imp with a short fuse asked. The short, tempered wizard was standing in front of Naruto when he looked up from his book. Naruto simply laughed as he used one hand to hold the little, irritable wizard at bay. "I'm here to oversee the training of Nell, make sure she's at full power and able to defend herself against the Soul Society captains. And no other reason. We will leave when Wonder Boy is ready to go and rescue Rukia from their corrupted justice system, but just now what I said earlier. I meant every word of it." While Naruto leaned on her and continued to read his book, she was windmilling her arms in an attempt to strike him. Nell is training with Lisa and Love in order to regain her fighting form, just like she did with Yoruichi. Regarding Lisa, she was taken aback by the Arrancar's strength, but Naruto claimed that she wasn't using it to its maximum potential. How could she not have complete power yet? She could easily compete with two of them at full power because of her absurdly high level of power already. She would have no trouble facing a Captain Soul Reaper. How much power does this girl actually possess? Lisa pondered how strong she would be at full strength and how much more formidable her opponents would be if Naruto thought she lacked the strength to battle the Soul Society. So few answers to so many questions. "Naruto, I have a question if I may." Naruto raised his head from his book to face the one who had questioned him. It was that strange man grinning. "Sure Shinji, what's up?" "So this begs the question, just what are you two?" Shinji said, his big smile gone, his face stern. "Well, I just have to ask. Just what are you? You are not Soul Reaper nor are you Hollow, and neither is she." After giving him a brief glance, Naruto closed his book and turned to face Shinji. "Do you really want to know? What we are is both similar and dissimilar from you." Shinji gave a nod. "Very well then, I will explain Nell first. She is a Arrancar, a Hollow that ripped off its mask and gained the powers of the Soul Reaper. She is like you, just the reverse version, Shinji. Just how you are Soul Reaper, again the powers of a Hollow. There is only one simple difference. You are mostly Soul Reaper and part Hollow, while she is mostly Hollow and part Soul Reaper." Naruto clarified for him. "All right, what about you? You're neither Arrancar nor Wizard," Shinji replied. "You are right. I am neither Arrancar nor am I Wizard. I'm a new breed altogether, half Soul Reaper half Hollow, stronger than both. I call my race the Forsaken, and that's all I'm willing to tell you about me and Nell. Seeing as you don't fully trust me or her, and I don't fully trust you, or your other Wizard friends. Nothing personal, I just need to the lookout for her, you understand." Naruto glanced up to see Nell struggling to breathe, two of the Wizard. "That's it for today, Nell. It's time to head home." "All right, Naruto," she shouted joyfully. "So you think we can trust them?" the Wizards asked, glancing at their retreating forms. Shinji questioned the other members of his group. "I have no idea that they are both powerfully different and identical. After just 2 encounters, it's difficult to develop a reliable opinion of them," a large man with pink hair remarked. "I have no faith in them," the brief one said. Another girl in the group said in a low voice, "The only don't trust them because you don't like that and they make fun of your height. You only have faith in him because he is the author of those books," the petite one shouted at her female friend. "All right. They're artistic creations," Lisa remarked as she read a book. With Nell and Naruto, as they walked home, Naruto was pleased with Nell's training progress, anticipating that she would reach her peak strength in no more than a week. "So Naruto, yes. I just wanted to know if you would consider me, with hope," she asked someone. This was beyond the dangerous waters he was trading in, and Naruto nearly stumbled when he was asked that question. If he answered incorrectly, he would be in centaur mode. "Well, you see, Naruto's eyes widened as he felt the presence nearby. "Yes, saved by interference," Naruto yelled in his mind. It's not like he didn't like Nell. It's just it would have been awkward to answer that. "You may come out now." Naruto uttered the words, "I know you're there." A spiky blonde woman emerged from an alleyway just behind Nell and Naruto, saying, "I'm surprised to see you again," she said, former third Espada. "Tia. It's good to see you too," Nell said gravely. "Do you two know each other?" Naruto asked, crossing his hands over his chest and pointing at Tia after glancing at Nell. Naruto inquired. Both of them said, "Yes." "Oh. So, how are you acquainted?" Naruto repeated his question. "C was an Espada at one point," Tia replied, the third Espada. At first, Naruto appeared somewhat taken aback. "Is that accurate?" he questioned her. She nodded slowly and sorrowfully, looking down. "When I first learned about her, I was a newborn Arankar," Tia went on. "I guess it's fitting really." She began unzipping her jacket. Naruto was about to cover his face out of respect, and to his scowl, a beautiful woman was about to remove her top and he was covering his eyes when he noticed her chest, which was covered by a fragment of her mask, with a 3 tattooed on her right breast. "Soon after you betrayed us, I took your spot, as the third Espada." The wind blew around them. "So, Tia, why are you here? You're probably not here to fight. You are aware that I am unbeatable. I am Hueco Mundo's Majesty Vasto Lord. Nobody can beat me. My lord is able to. He's heard about you, and he has figured out how to beat you," Tia remarked, "but even I don't know what it is." "Are you here to use your knowledge to threaten me? Or were you warning me here?" Tia remained silent as Naruto asked, grinning. "There is a way to beat me. It can only be done by one person. I am aware of it. I am aware of what must be done. And no, I am aware that your lord, whom you serve, lacks the resources to make use of it. Whoever he is. If he sends a massager to warn me, he is weak. I arrived here on my own initiative. I wasn't coerced into coming here." Tia unknowingly responded to one of his inquiries. "Oh, that raises the question, then. So why are you here? I know your master doesn't have the ability to kill me, so if your lord had sent you, you wouldn't have warned me about it. So why have you come here?" His perverted mind wanted her to come see him because she had fallen deeply in love with him, but he didn't want to make any assumptions, so he asked again. Naruto sulked in his head, "I'm here to satisfy my own curiosity. How are you the king of Hueco Mundo when you behave more like a child?" she questioned him. Tia appeared perplexed. "Why act like an ass clown like that wanna.be king? What's his face?" he said with a smile, "because I can. Had I not reached this point in my evolution, I would have led the hollows of Hueco Mundo to battle the Soul Reapers and prevailed. Then attempted to murder the Spirit King due to his laziness. He gave his creation free rein, and observed the results. According to Soul Reapers, the world is full of good people. However, those swords were wielded by malevolent individuals." Naruto appeared enraged by something. "I see," Tia said, pulling her jacket closed. "That's all I'm interested in. White Fox, thank you," she bowed. Naruto grinned at her and said, "Just call me Naruto, and don't call me White Fox Tia." She gave them a nod and walked away. "So, something you'd like to discuss, Nell?" Nell looked down again when he asked. Naruto, first at home. I got my memories back, and Nell was about to cry. "Let's head home," after she nodded, saying, "That's why you asked me that question. We'll talk there." He used Echo Flash to get them home because he didn't want to walk anymore. This was crucial. Nell and Naruto sat quietly drinking tea at their house. "So," began Naruto. "It happened when you faced off against some of Aizen's Espada," Nell said, appearing hesitant to speak. "I recalled what had transpired. To my pals. When you saved me," she said softly, "who died. Took care of me. I'll tell you everything you need to know about Aizen and his army of Arankars," she added, "and restored me to my form now. That won't really help, in my opinion. Your data is more than a century old. In my hometown, outdated information is worse than none at all." He grinned at her and said, "Oh, and to answer your question, on what I think about you. Just keep acting like you don't have your memories back. I think you're beautiful, kind, funny, and most importantly." He smiled evilly, and light glowed evilly on his face. Incredibly ticklish. Ha 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 ha. No, 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 quit. Ha 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 ha. Nell was giggling uncontrollably when Naruto kissed her, causing her to groan as he did so. Naruto concluded by smiling and telling her, "No matter what, Nell, I'll never think anything less of you." She cried uncontrollably and gave him a hug, saying, "Thank you. Many thanks, Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As he always has and always will, Naruto consoled her as she continued to repeat. Nell, don't cry. I'll be there for you no matter what. But let's sleep for the time being. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day. I hope Wonder Boy is prepared for our brief encounter with the Soul Reapers. Nell, I don't want you to deal with more than you can manage. Naruto expressed his worry to her. More relieved than ever, she nodded and fell asleep. Who is it that is commanding the Hollows now? More importantly, the Arankars. Only a powerful being could in fact control them. Naruto closed his eyes and tried to fall asleep, thinking, maybe I've been away for far too long. It might be time to reclaim my throne of Hueco Mundo. Naruto fell asleep, considering what his Zanpakuto had just told him, but he decided to put it out of his mind for the time being. Naruto, who gets bored easily, wanted to fight again, which was not like him at all since he became the person he is today. Kazuki had stated that Ichigo would be ready in 2 or 3 days, possibly as early as tomorrow. Naruto heard his Zanpakuto Forbidden Angel say, "Don't be so depressed, Naruto. That old man, Yamamoto, will be quite the challenge now. He had been training for a while. No doubt to try and kill you. Even he is not above retaliation. That one with the glasses will be at least something of a challenge. He is more powerful than he lets on." I concur. He resisted too much to be overcome so readily. He told her, "I dare say that I will have to use Shikai on both of them." It almost sounded like Forbidden Angel wanted that. I agree as well, but, that old man. I have money that you'll need to use, Bankai. You seem to want that to take place. When was the last time? I immediately destroyed half of Hueco Mundo's hollows. Do you desire that? Yes. Naruto sweat dope. I'm like a lust-driven woman. I need to kill, and a lot. Using your Bankai helps me kill things. You know it's my favorite thing in the world, next to giving you naughty pictures about Nell. Amongst others. Naruto nearly tripped. Fortunately, he was at Kazuki's place. He wanted to fight, but Ichigo needed to get some real battle experience, and what better way than to get it too? He had the most evil grin on his face. Nell was beside him as usual, and feared what Naruto might do. He had informed her that they would be helping Ichigo with his training. She had grown to like Ichigo, as a friend, and she didn't want him to get hurt, at least not too badly. Right to where Kazuki and Ichigo were training, Naruto and Nell entered, passing the timid girl, the perpetually irascible youngster, and the tail. Quite one. Naruto grinned. Oh, Kazuki. With an overly cheerful tone, Naruto said, "Let me take care of Ichigo's training for the time being." Kazuki instantly moved out of his way, and Ichigo just gulped. "All you have to do to pass my training," Naruto said, still grinning, "is to scratch me once. Or force me to brandish my sword." Ichigo simply slapped his face. "What? That's it. Believe what I say, that it will be more difficult than you anticipate. You've got 2 days to complete it." Naruto gave him an incentive. "If you can't, you're not prepared to save Rukia, and she'll perish." 2 days. Please. Ichigo said, "I'll finish it in 1. Is that correct? Then. Try me." Not that he needed to. Ichigo attempted to cut Naruto, but Naruto ducked the blow. Remain motionless. Ichigo made another attempt. "Most enemies are like me. They will dodge if they can." Naruto dodged once more. "So you will have to think of a way to hit them while they are moving." Ichigo was faster than most, so no one under the 3rd seed of power could confront him. Naruto had already learned everything he needed to know from Yoruichi in the Soul Reaper power ladder. "Is that all you got?" Naruto teasingly said, "You'll never save Rukia like that." Ah. With all the strength he possessed, Ichigo descended upon him. Ichigo grinned until he saw nothing and no blood at all after Naruto allowed him to strike his shoulder. Skin made of steel. Ichigo, my skin is more resilient than steel. To even scratch me, it will take much more than that feeble attack. Naruto took a step back and said, "Now you understand why I set such a goal for you. Some opponents, like you, prefer to attack head on. They either do this out of conceit or because they are aware that their opponents cannot harm them. The majority would be arrogant. That'll show if they are mad that you managed to hurt them regardless." Naruto went into lecture mode. "I don't require an explanation." Ichigo attacked again only for Naruto to knock him on his ass. "You do, indeed. You rush in and disregard the repercussions. In a sense, I was and still am the same. However, since they are people who rely on me, I now think ahead. If you passed away, what would happen to Orihime and Chad? With a startled expression, Ichigo said, yes, they are accompanying us to rescue Rukia. You are aware of what would occur. They would perish. Not only that, but Uryu, that one kid, is also coming. He would perish because he lacks your strength. Don't focus only on the person you're trying to save during a rescue mission. If you do, everyone else will perish and it won't have been worth it. Consider them while you're attempting to protect Rukia from her unfair destiny. Naruto slapped Ichigo with his tongue. And since you say you can scratch me in a day. Naruto boosted his power and said, if you can't, die. For the first time since losing his mother, Ichigo felt fear, and the power he experienced made the Byakuya guy appear insignificant. Come on now. Ichigo Kurosaki. Ichigo had not yet scratched Naruto after hours had gone by. On the sidelines, Ichigo's father Isshin, Kazuki, and Yoruichi in her human form were witnessing Ichigo suffer the beating of her life. Would he actually murder Kazuki, my boy? Isshin inquired. No, not in my opinion, at least. Kazuki said, Naruto doesn't like to kill, but I think he would make an exception in Aizen's case, in an attempt to reassure Isshin, though it didn't really help. Along with numerous other Naruto lectures, 23 hours and 55 minutes had elapsed. Ichigo lay on the ground, exhausted and lacking vitality. Is that it? Does that constitute the extent of your decision? As he approached Ichigo in his prone position, Naruto questioned, I suppose it is to be expected. Don't worry about your friends anymore, Ichigo. You are only human after all. Your life will end in the next minute or so don't worry about anything else. Naruto was charging Asero. You accomplished a lot in a single day. However, it wasn't sufficiently far away. Don't worry about your friends you lied to or your family you let down. I'll take care of your dreams. Ichigo, goodbye. Ichigo was speaking to his Zanpakuto just as Naruto was ready to fire his Sero. Hear my name and the power I can give you, Ichigo, quickly, my name is. Ichigo's Zanpakuto was releasing a lot of power, and Naruto was surprised by it. It seemed that Naruto's little put-down talk was having an effect. This is not where my life will end, Ichigo shouted, launching the most powerful attack he could muster. Hear this attack's name, Ichigo, because it is much more powerful when you know it than when you don't. The majority of Ichigo's power was still dormant and would not surface anytime soon, but Naruto was still somewhat impressed. Gosuga. Ichigo raised his blade up high, fueled by Ichigo's spirit energy, Tensho. Ichigo gave his Getsuga Tensho everything he had. Ichigo's Getsuga Tensho struck Naruto's hand and came to a halt as the enormous wave got closer. This boy already has this much power, Naruto thought to himself. It's like holding back a tidal wave. He had to work harder to stop Ichigo's attack, and as the dust settled, he saw Ichigo unconscious in front of him. He examined his hand, which had a single, barely noticeable scratch, but it was still there, and it also sliced right through his glove, which was another amazing accomplishment in and of itself. Wow. Ichigo. You must have passed my test. You should be able to assume the role of any vice captain if you can do that to me. In any case, Naruto left to allow Ichigo to enjoy his well-earned rest. When Naruto saw Kazuki and Ichigo's father, he asked, how did Ichigo's training go, Naruto? Kazuki inquired. While Orihime was caring for Ichigo, Naruto turned back to him in an attempt to increase the speed of her healing abilities. That boy of yours, Isshin, reminds me a lot of myself. I suppose he inherits it from his mother. What? Why do you say that? Just a suspicion. He acts differently than you do. In any case, Ichigo has many advantages. He simply needs to give things more thought. The same way I had to in my youth. However, I believe that he will change the world. For better or worse, I don't know. Naruto expressed his opinion and let them think for themselves. What does that mean, in your opinion? Isshin questioned his longtime friend. Who knows? I only own a candy store. Isshin drops perspiration. It looks like the old man will not let me be. Naruto thought as he walked home, if that's the case, our fight will be to the death. I'm sorry, old man, but I'm not going to die. We're going to have a big battle. Hour before departure the following day. What? To Orihime's horror, Ichigo leapt to his feet. Ichigo. Hey, Orihime. Where am I? Kazuki entered and said, You're in my store of course. You. What? Well. Who brought me here? He felt tried, and rightly so he asked. All right, following Naruto's. Okay, so. He gave you a beating on the ass. He brought you here and claimed that you had finished the training and had successfully scratched him in a single day. Ichigo was taken aback. I scratched him? Yes. Even so, it's a very small scratch. Hardly perceptible. Kazuki minimized Ichigo's accomplishment. Kazuki, don't say that. Since I reached this level, Ichigo did something that no one else had done before him. His actions were impressive. Ichigo, you're coming along. Naruto entered the room. You, yes? You, I haven't died? Holmes, great deduction. Did someone assist you, or did you figure that out on your own? Sarcastically, Naruto asked. Oh no. But Ichigo, you passed my test. So yay, you're not dead. Get some rest. We have a few hours before we depart. We can't make Rukia wait any longer, can we? I need to get Nell, we're taking her with us, Naruto said with a smile before leaving. Kazuki told the children, all right, I'll make the gate, you all rest up till I'm ready. Well, Nell, who was training against 4 wizards, was finally exhausted when Naruto entered the room. How is her training going, then? Naruto questioned Shinji. She is a monster. Positively. Naruto nodded, she can take on 4 of us at once without our mask or her released form. 2 of the 4 she just fought were captains. She can easily take on 2 or even 3 captains, in my opinion. She wasn't even going all out, damn it. 4 of the weaker captains, perhaps. Naruto said, didn't know there was such a thing. Some captains are stronger than others, even among the Soul Reaper's captains. Similar to the elderly man, none of the other captains could defeat him. However, I'm not sure about Aizen's 2 friends anymore. How about you? How powerful are you? Shinji inquired. I'll be honest. Shinji's eyes grew wide. Take the old man away, and I could destroy the entire Soul Reaper Society and be home in time for dinner. Not joking, he asked, a little scared. This is no joke. What do you think makes Nell so strong? She supported me for roughly a century. In Hueco Mundo, I've had 1,000 years to strengthen myself. I've been a Vasto Lord for that long. My power at least doubled when I became a Forsaken. I could wipe out the world if I had full power. Fortunately, though, I've never had to use full power. It's been a while, Naruto clarified. What? How are you aware of that? Have you ruined a world yet, really? Shinji inquired. No, it's estimation. When I was weaker, I once became enraged with this group of hollows. But I never really took the time to remember their names and I forgot their rank of the ones beneath Vasto Lord. However, I became so enraged that I immediately went to full power and, fearing that I would hurt Nell, I fired a Sero. Killed half of the Hollow's Hueco Mundo population. Yay, I know. But I will go all out on Yamamoto, and this Aizen guy. Yamamoto is too old to change and is too deep in the ways of the corrupted Central 46 place to make up his own mind. Aizen threatens the balance of this world. I will make sure he never achieves his dreams. Naruto sighed. Hey, I got a question for you. I might have an answer. Funny, but you said that this new instant movement that you made, you said that we could use it, right? He inquired. I'm constantly working to get stronger so I can beat Aizen's ass. Yes, but only when you have your mask on. Nell could use it whenever because of what she is. You and the rest Shinji can use it, but only in your wizard forms. Naruto clarified. But if you do master it, you'll be just about as fast as the goddess of Flash. Naruto laughed. Those listening were taken aback by this. Naruto.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.